Welcome back to the Off Duty Sports Podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is Upham, actually Albert Upham, and AKA Iceman. And we are here to do our sports talk again this week. We had a great weekend. Upham, why don't you share a little bit about what you did this weekend?
Yeah, so my daughter just went to prom today. So in the rain, it's tough watching her grow up. She got her license a little bit ago, so that was step one, and we're taking baby steps. We had the junior prom this year, but spent a lot of time going to her softball games and then doing the whole prom thing today. So it's been pretty busy. How about yourself?
Dude, I've mostly been working. I work nonstop. That's kind of been my whole life lately. We're just working nonstop and just trying to make the big bucks, man. Did like 76 hours this week, so it's been a long week. It's been a really long week. So 314s
Really?
and 212s. So
Oh, jeez,
so
too
uh,
long.
yeah, we're it's the threat's been real lately. So it's been kind of a crazy week for us. Um but yeah, well, let's get into it, man. I mean, honestly, we did have a little bit of issues earlier. We kind of had some recording issues. OBS. If anybody knows how OBS works, it's a little annoying, but we're gonna get through this again and talk about our what's up on our first agenda. Why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Well, do we have to start with the Celtics losing? Do we have to talk about that again?
It would probably be good if we talked about the Celtics losing. That'd be great, actually, because
Oh, I'm I'm so upset. Like the Celtics were like my last remaining team right now. The Bruins obviously had an early exit in the NHL playoffs, and then watch the Celtics go down. Tatum was obviously out with an injury, overcompensating on his other leg, his healthy leg, and just seeing us struggle against the 76ers, who I didn't think was a good team, but we went from 3-1 in the series and losing that series four
yeah,
three.
and so the Spurs are doing actually really well. Surprisingly, I think actually Wemby had his record-breaking game of 12 blocks in a game, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, I mean he's a freak of nature, so I mean I wouldn't expect it any other way. I'm surprised surprised other people haven't gotten that many. It doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it's a lot. That's crazy. That's a lot of blocks.
He
That's
was a
amazing.
beast.
Oh yeah, dude.
If he
He's
keeps if he keeps doing stuff like that, I mean, he's going to be in line to win a championship. And honestly, um, the value of those cards that you're collecting of him are just going to skyrocket. He broke a record. He's really young.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, this is what his fourth year now,
I
fourth
think it's
year.
the third. Yeah,
Yeah, man, he's already doing amazing already so far, and it's actually kind of cool to like see highlights of the things he does because again, he kind of reminds me, like I said, of LeBron James almost, but just like not as annoying. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
a much taller
Yeah, he's
and younger individual.
yeah, yeah. And we'll see how that ends up playing out. He just needs to get a little bigger. I think if he got a little bigger, I think he'd be a freak of nature. Just it'd be
It's
amazing to
tough.
watch him play. I mean, everybody seems to get
It,
a little fatter. I mean, look at Luka Doncic.
he's
He's got a little the dad
a
bod.
little
And like,
pudgy.
doesn't even have it. Doesn't even have kids yet. That's
He's a little pudgy out there, but yeah, no, I completely agree. Did you catch any of the flopping in the Knicks series or the Thunder series?
no. I did not. Unfortunately, and it sucks too because I've been wanting to watch the Lakers play, and I've already been seeing that they're not doing too well, which is. But I think I had this. Did I have the Spurs winning? I want to say, I believe so.
You did.
Technically, I had the Spurs winning, so and I had Lakers second. So as of right now, I mean, your Celtics are out, and I think that it's a good chance the Lakers are going to be out too. So I'm not too happy about that, but
You're,
unfortunately,
you're
it's just
playing you're playing the top team in the league, and honestly, it's tough to beat them alone. But when they're flopping all over the place, it's even harder to beat them. I watched SGA hook Austin Reeves in that first in the last game and nearly snap his arm in half, and then SGA got the foul. I mean, Reeves got the foul call against him, and then SGA got to shoot free throws. And I watched that all the time with the Thunder, and it makes it ridiculous to defend these guys. How do you defend if SGA is coming at you, jumping into you, and getting to the free throw every freaking 2 seconds,
oh,
every drive?
it reminds me a lot of like soccer. When players do their soccer for the free kick. That's just the way you got to play the game now. You got to cheat, just like the Patriots figured out how to cheat. You got to do that too. Deflate gate, all that stuff. I think that's exactly. We just got to figure out ways to cheat. Just to get wins. You know what I mean? Like.
Like like I said, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. That's
And get
how
the
I think of it.
and
At
get
the
the
end of the
refs
day,
on your
whatever it takes.
side. Get the refs on
Yeah,
your side. Just got to do all that.
you
So,
show up with a briefcase every game, you won't lose a game.
That's always funny.
No,
Oh
but
man.
it's been tough, and I think Adam Silver really needs to do something to fix the league because if it keeps heading in this direction and people are flopping all over the place, I watched Chet Holmgren um, on OKC throw his head back after LeBron, some air pushed past him. It looked like LeBron took a full fist to Chet's face. That's what it looked like. He sold it so well, and he got to the line, and it's just embarrassing to watch. I can't stand it. It's unwatchable for me.
Yeah, see, that's I can't stand stuff like that. That's I mean, but you see LeBron doing like falling down too as well, and it looks really pathetic. So I mean, I get it. That happens all the time. I think you were saying too, in the NHL, if you do that in the NHL, you know,
Oh yeah,
they'll
yeah.
make sure
If
they make sure you get in the face if you're gonna pretend.
Yeah, in the NHL, you throw your head back like that and the other team gets a penalty for it. When they're out there, you're getting a stick to the face for real. Like you're
That's
gonna if you look at the NHLers out there, they're all scarred up. These guys are tough. I learned early on to go, I took my shield off early on in my like when I was 21 years old. And I learned after that that it's probably best to keep the shield on. I did end up losing two teeth, but it's insane. You throw flopping into that NHL game, and there's going to be a lot of injuries for sure.
Yeah, see, I couldn't lose my teeth, dude. I even having those dreams of like losing your teeth freak me out. Like if you're like a stress dream and like teeth are coming out of your mouth, that sounds exactly like that. That would freak me out, dude. I hate that.
I'll be honest with you. Like when it happened, it was in a beer league. Some guy, two-handed me across the face, and I remember the feeling. It felt like
Was he trying to hit the puck, or was he actually like was he mad at you?
no,
Oh, he's trying to hit
he was
you.
mad at me.
Oh.
Yeah, he was trying to hit me. So I caught it in the mouth, and it was just it felt like wood chips in my mouth, and I was like, what is that?
Ugh.
It didn't hurt when it happened. I knew I got hit, and I started spitting out pieces of bone, and I was like, oh my god, what the hell happened? I realized it was my front teeth because I felt it with my tongue. So I dropped down to the ice and I'm picking up the pieces, thinking maybe I can go to the dentist and they can save my teeth. My parents were going to kill me. They spent like 2 years. I spent 2 years in braces, and they were going to be insanely mad with me. But from that point on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to wear my mask. I only did it one time, one game. And since then, I've worn a mask.
That's sad. That's really sad. That's not good. Well, we could get into the NFL power rankings. Actually, we got a couple things we want to go over, and the NFL power rankings that we had. We did just go over them already once, and we're gonna go over them again because, like I said, technical issues, and it happens. But actually, we're gonna go with you first, Upham. Why don't we go with yours first? And
Yeah.
give your reason, a quick little reasoning why. We'll go a little faster pace this time. That way, not get the too much explanation, but a little bit though.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you my top two, and then we'll kind of alternate there. So with number one, I have to go with the Seattle Seahawks, mainly because they're reigning champions. I know that they lost Kenneth Walker, which is a huge loss. I get it, but as an organization, they always seem to be very, very competitive. Their defense is great. They still have one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the league.
Yeah,
I expect them to be back there or be in contention for the Super Bowl this coming year. My number two team, I have to put the Bills there. I know they had a bad year last year, but anytime you have Josh Allen on your team as a
yeah.
quarterback, he's high powered, he's big energy, he can do it with his feet, he can do it with his arm. And I know they made improvements on the wide receiver side to help him out. They have a good line and their defense is competent. So I expect them to be in contention. So I put them as my number two. How about yourself?
For my number one, I had Los Angeles Rams. I thought they drafted the best, honestly. I honestly think that they're gonna, you know, Shane McVay, right? Shane McVay,
Yeah, I just call him McVay.
McVay. I thought he did a great job. Just overall good job. He's a good coach, and I think that he'll do really well with the people they picked up because they picked up a lot of defensive players this year. My number two is the Seattle Seahawks, and that's I know you had them as number one. I just think that based on what I saw with the Rams, I just see. Yeah, I just don't think they can replicate the Seahawks gonna be able to replicate. It doesn't really happen too often where the same teams always go to the Super Bowl. So I kind of have them a little bit lower value just because again, I just don't think they're gonna be able to keep that up, keep that momentum. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. And then for I guess for number three and four for you, who do you got?
Yeah, so I put at number three, I put the Denver Broncos, and I put them there because I really enjoyed seeing Bo Nix take the next step in his development. And overall, I think the Denver Broncos are a high-powered offense that are just growing as a team. And then their defense was fantastic last year. And when you have the combination of a high-powered offense and a shutdown defense, you're always going to be competitive. Now, we'll see if they can continue the momentum moving forward. But I definitely have them up there, and that's why I put them as my number three.
Yeah, I
My
don't.
number four. Go
Yeah,
ahead, sorry.
continue. Continue. No, you're good. That's good. I was gonna say, kind of like reiterate on that. I do agree with you on. I think that they're contenders. So I have them a little bit lower, but I do have them listed on my top 10. So yeah, continue.
Yeah, yeah. So I put the Patriots as my number four, and again, I know they're coming back. I know, no, I'm a homer, so they get a little bit bumped up because of that. But when you go to the Super Bowl and you're not expected to the year prior, I have to put them up there and start respecting what they're doing as a team. I love Mike Vrabel as a coach. I like Drake May as a quarterback. He's consistent. He can do it with his legs. They just need to figure out their left side of that line. But their defense was solid last year. We have great cornerbacks, great safeties. And I think with the improvements that they've made, and I hear AJ Brown might be coming our way, giving us a number one wide receiver. Even if Steph Diggs comes back, that's a number two guy. That puts us up there again to be competitive for Super Bowl.
Yeah, he just won that acquittal, that charge, or he just won against that last charge that he had, I guess, for uh whatever assault, you want to call it. I don't want to say the name, I don't know if you get in trouble for that or not, but you know, SAing someone, apparently his cook. I watched a little bit of that, and she looked like she was lying. Like I don't know if you watched at all of that, but she actually looked. There's even video of her dancing, like apparently right after she got SA'd. Like there's like a video of her like dancing, and that's why it was like so unbelievable, and the story just didn't make any sense. Anyway, so my 3 and 4 are going to be Buffalo Bills and Baltimore. So that's who I have as I think that obviously Josh Allen as well. I'm up there pretty high with Josh Allen. He's my number 3 right now, and I think that they're always going to perform well when you have a really good QB like him. I mean, he's just I think he's amazing. And then for Baltimore, obviously, I think that the who they picked up off the offseason, and even during their draft, because I did kind of base it more like post draft, Baltimore Ravens at number 4 is kind of where I kind of see them being at right now. Just overall good team. Again, seeing them kind of come back to their roots a little bit with how well they performed previously. Just strong defense, things like that. So I'm hoping to see them, be an actual serious contender this year. So what about your 5 and 6?
Yeah, so I went with the at five with the LA Rams. A lot of what you said, I think they're the most well-rounded team, both offensively and defensively. And again, when you have a solid coach and you have both of those things, you're always going to be in contention. So you got one of the probably the second best wide receiver in the league, in my opinion, with Puka. And then they're continuously making improvements, so I could
Yeah.
see them competing again. At number six, I have the Packers. I know it's not a fan favorite out there, but I like what Jordan Love is doing. I don't consider him to be an elite quarterback, but I think he's well above average.
Yeah.
And I know he was injured last year. I would like to see him healthy this season and take the next step with a high powered Packers offense. And if their defense can also improve, I think they could do some damage here and make it to the playoffs and maybe compete for a championship.
I think I could probably agree with you on if he could stay healthy, but I have him. I didn't actually, I have him at like 11 for me because he's a little bit further down on the list for me. But who I have for my, what is that? Is that fits 5 and 6 right now? We're on 5 and 6. I have
Yes.
the Eagles at 5, and then Denver Broncos at 6. Yama mentioned we don't talk about the Denver Broncos enough, and I had to give them at least a top 10, which I do think they're a top 10 team. I'm not just saying that just because obviously, I think that if they can upgrade, they upgraded their offense a little bit, and I think overall they're always they did well last year too. They just they couldn't cut it towards the end there. And then obviously Eagles. I hate the Eagles, but it's hard to sit there and and count them out. They just have had a solid team since ever since they beat the Patriots. They've been able to maintain a solid team. I mean? Like honestly, like they've never. I don't really think they've ever been really that bad. They've made it to the playoffs every single year since then. So I mean, I don't know. I have them on 5 and 6. That's what I have for my 5 6 right now. And so what about your 7 8?
Yeah, so at seven, I've got the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Again, the way I think about this is Lamar Jackson's been injured. I think that they're doing a better job of getting people in a place where they can protect Lamar. He's also going to tailor back. He's been throwing it a lot more. It's a running quarterback converting. He still throws up a ton of yards, but he's a legit rushing threat. And I think it's a tough team to control offensively. And I think defensively they improved. They got Trey Henderson, and he's going to just disrupt the quarterback on the opposing team. So I think overall you improve the defense. The offense is still pretty darn good, and you can never count the Ravens out. The big thing is can Lamar stay healthy? That's the big thing. It's always the question.
Well, him being a dual threat, I mentioned this before. I mean, when previous to this, him being a dual threat, I think just automatically makes him a harder QB to go up against. And being able to run the ball and then running the ball without getting hurt is really again the biggest thing that he needs to look out for, obviously. And I mean, I know his coaches don't like him running the ball that much, because but I mean, when he does it, he does get yardage. It's just not getting injured at the same time is going to be the biggest thing. Just playing safer. I do think that's kind of I agree with you there, but that's why I had him a little higher up. I think Lamar Jackson's going to do really well this year. Like you said, if he could stay healthy, I think they're going to be a top 5 team, easy. Have been at number 3. So and then so for
Yep.
my 7-8, I have the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Chargers. So you know, uh, I thought that San Francisco picked up some definite defensive players that I thought would be probably pretty good. I never know how they're going to come out their rookie year, so it's like you never know. If I think that given enough time, I still think that they'll probably start to pick it up a little bit towards the end of the season, and I'm hoping that I'm not hoping, but I think that they're going to do well. That's why I have them at 7, and then the Chargers I have them as well. Just their offensive line and overall team depth I think is really good, so I think that they're going to do really well.
Yeah. At 8, what I had the Lions over there, just mainly because that's a high-powered offense. It's always been a high-powered offense. They really haven't strayed from that. Defensively, I think as long as they can stay healthy, they've had a great team and a great balance of offensive defensive capability. It's just they've been injured as they've entered the playoffs the last few years, so they haven't been able to compete at their real capability. So I think as long as they can kind of monitor players, make sure that they're going into the playoffs healthy, I think that
Yeah.
they are a true contender. For 9, I have the Eagles. You already talked about them a little bit. Again, this is a stacked team in my opinion. Talent across the board. You have the wide receivers. You've got the line. You've got if you get MVP version of Hurts, then yeah, you have a solid offense there. And then defense. They're always growing defensive talent there, and it seems like they ship these guys out, and they always have someone backfilling. So the defense is great, the offense is great, and I can see them doing some damage as always. And then I'll give you my number 10 as well. I throw the Chiefs in there always. Patrick Mahomes is the primary reason. I think that they're getting older, but when you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid over there on the sidelines, you're always going to compete. Kelsey is going to take a step back. I know that he's going to take a step back. He's getting older, but he's still reliable. But the wide receivers are there. The defense is average, but they always seem to pull things out when you have Mahomes there.
Yeah. Well, I think what I have right now is what I think I have right now for 9 and 10 is the uh the Detroit Lions at 9. I think that Sam Bradford's a really good QB. I think he's overall one of the better QBs that are out there. Definitely a top 10 QB in my opinion. Because I think he's with the Detroit Lions right now, correct? And
Mhm.
then obviously 10, I'm going to put Cowboys. I'm always going to have a little bit of hope for them. Picking they still had Pickens this year. They did really. I thought that for the first year I've since coming back to watching football again. This first year was the first time I thought uh, Dak Prescott did better than he's ever played. And maybe it could just be the fact that he's just been in it a little longer. But I'm seeing him take more risks, especially with Pickens. He's throwing the ball further, which to me, obviously Pickens could also catch the ball, so that's a big indicator of like him being a really good threat outside. And as long as he can continue trusting Pickens, and that's why I was worried that they were going to get rid of him this year, but or even him go to another team. I know he had it open for a bit. I'm hoping that they'll make it to playoffs, and I think this year's. I'm hoping this year's the first year they break this stupid. And I hate saying that because I feel like every
Yeah, you say it
Cowboy
every year.
fan says that, and but I really do feel like and I've never said this because I just felt like the team's been so crap the last like 10 years. I've just never since they've had Prescott, even Romo. I've literally almost lost all hope in terms of going to playoffs. It doesn't matter how good they look, because even Romo's look good, during the season and just bombed the first playoff
Yeah.
game. But if they can keep that up and not get so distracted maybe during that time frame, I'm hoping that they'll do well. So I have them at 10, and then Green Bay did have 11. Obviously, it was a kind of a toss up because I'm not mentioning 11, but just I wanted to at least give a little kudos to Green Bay as well. Just because I do think that Jordan Love is a good player as well. I think that is it, yeah, Jordan Love, is it Jordan Love? Yeah.
Yep, yep.
I think that he's gonna do well. I mean, he's pretty new too, so I believe so.
I mean, he sat behind Aaron Rodgers forever in
Yeah,
Green Bay, so I guess he's new to being a
new to
starter.
being a starter, yeah, and I think that's important. I think that is good. Get to watch someone that I still think Aaron Rodgers is a really good team, or player. So I mean, even though he's old, and he didn't do that bad last year. He didn't do that bad. He's able to do something, which is more than what other QBs can do at that point. And at their age. So,
What I want to know is, I thought we were doing a top 10, not a bottom 10. You put Dallas in there, and what the other thing I want to know is, no Patriot love. They just went to the Super Bowl last year.
you know, I contribute that a lot to luck. I don't want to believe that you guys have a really good team this year. I don't, I think it's so unfair that you guys won as many Super Bowls as you guys have. I just don't even want to list you guys as a. I'm just hoping it was just a fluke. Honestly, I'm really hoping that that was a fluke. That what you did was a fluke, and that it was you know not it was all by chance. You guys just got there by chance. And then
This isn't real.
with all
It's
this
not
drama,
real.
with all this drama that's going on with the coaches, I'm hoping that maybe that intervenes with your guys's, with how you guys make decisions, with the coach cheating, cheating and all that, all that drama with the reporter and all that fun stuff, we'll
There's
see.
always something going on in New England, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
So I'm hoping that distracts them a bit and maybe cause a little bit of falling out, just overall. So we'll see what happens there. So um but
I don't know. The Patriots always seem to be there. We've won so many championships. This is the city of dreams. This is where you want to be if you want to win a championship. We've done it forever at this point, and it can never be a fluke if you have sustained success. That's my opinion on that.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, think back. We've done so much with very little, so much with very little. And I know there are arguments out there. Oh, you cheated, you did this, you did that. But you look at all these teams,
Those are
and they
pretty big
have these
arguments.
fine, I guess. But you look at all these teams, they have like stacked roster. They have these awesome quarterbacks. They have great lines. They have a great MVP level, all star wide receivers or running backs. We've never, even with Brady, who did we have
I will
out
say
there?
though, yeah, and I'll give credit to that. I will say you guys had one of the I never, and we talked about this a little bit. I never thought you guys had like the best of anything except QB wise. So I mean, like you guys played with a bunch of people that just got cut, and you guys would somehow fit them into this well-oiled machine, and somehow it'd work. But also knowing, yeah, I never thought you guys had the best running backs, because I think Blunt and I forget the other guy's name. Yeah, Vereen. I never thought they were like the best. You guys did barely ran the ball. And you'd have to be a running back that can catch the ball on that team for the most part. I'd say the only teammate I ever thought you guys had that was like worth even talking about was Gronk. I thought he was one of the best tight ends out there. You know what I mean? Because it was always like Gronk being the number one tight end for years, alongside of like you get Heath Miller like top five. Because Heath Miller back in the day too was pretty good. And then you had like people like obviously from the Cowboys. Oh my gosh, I'm already
Ethan Witten.
yeah, Jason Witten, doing really well. They were always like top five in terms of like tight end wise, and then even when Aaron, what's his name, Aaron Rodriguez, or is it who's the guy that killed somebody on your guys' team? Aaron.
Aaron Hernandez.
And Aaron, yeah, one of the Mexican names. I'm just kidding. Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez. He was like top 10 as well. Like he was like he was up there with Gronk. But I mean, you guys, I never thought you guys had like a really good wide receiver outside like Randy Moss. You know what I mean? And we kind of went back and forth on that a little bit, but I never, you guys had Danny Amendola, who's okay outside of the Patriots. You guys had Wes Welker, who was okay outside of the Patriots. I didn't think he was that great. Like there was nobody that I thought was like a really good wide receiver for the Patriots. I was like, oh, there's a good deep threat there. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really have anybody.
But all these teams, they view like these flashy players as being like awesome, and they are great individually. But this isn't an individual sport. What the Patriot has been great at doing is finding players who are excellent at one thing. So you might go out and get a running back who can rush average and catch average. But we have Shane Vereen who can catch every pass and do wheel routes and he has speed. And then you have Blunt who can mash it up the middle. And then we're Randy Moss who's 40 something years old, but he's still beating guys and jumping 6 feet in the air to catch. He's our deep threat. And then we have elite slot receivers in Wes Welker or Juliet Edelman. But on other teams, they'd be nothing. They're just excellent at slot receivers, and that's all we ask them to do. But then when you have Gronk, best at his position, in my opinion, he can create separation either with his wide body or just
Yeah,
being
the
brute
big
force and
dudes. Yeah.
separating that way. Then you throw Hernandez in, and if he played, oh man, that duo would have been
That would have
fantastic.
been terrible. That would have been so annoying too. Just, I mean, but honestly, if you guys hadn't have gotten rid of Aaron Hernandez, you guys probably never would have picked up Julian Edelman. Like realistically, like I really think Julian Edelman was a key factor, into getting, because I think what Wes Welker shortly got traded after that because I think Wes Welker and Julian Edelman were playing at the same time for like what 1 or 2 years or something like that, and then eventually like they dropped Wes Welker and kept Edelman going into that spot. So I mean like
Well, well, Julian was like a quarterback in college, and we converted him, or he got converted to a wide receiver because he
yeah
knew he wasn't going to see the field. And over in the Patriots, he sat behind Wes Welker for some time. He was just a work in progress, like a dart throw. Wes Welker was a great smaller guy that who could take a beating across the middle. And Edelman, knowing that he couldn't, start in most organizations, was just willing to do whatever it took to play. And he was a fantastic guy for us, tough as nails. And he made some fantastic catches for us as a slot receiver. But
yeah.
we've always focused on great tight end work, great slot receiver. We've never really had a deep threat. And yeah, Randy Moss was fantastic and he had tons of speed and all that. But outside of that, like you mentioned, the deep threat never really existed. And we
No.
didn't really have great play outside of maybe Corey Dillon, who came from the Bagels. But he was on the tail end of his career at one point too with the
Yeah, I mean,
Patriots.
you guys always had just like those short passes, short within 20-yard passes, and if one person wasn't open, someone else was. You know what I mean? Like if the key person that they wanted to throw to wasn't open, somebody else was. And so you guys, I mean, you guys just chopped up teams that well. I mean, most defenses play past a certain point. They're not, they're always playing for a deeper threat or even a further threat. And the Patriots always play from the inside way like all the time. You know what I mean? They just want yardage. They'll get 10 yards and just keep on getting 5, 10 yards, 10 yards, it's like over and over again until they get a first down. So it's like, that's, like I said, like I said, but I mean, like I said, I'm hoping that maybe it's all fluke and that last year was a fluke. They did really well. I'm not happy about it, but I'm hoping it was just a fluke and just like, oh, it's like hey, this happened, but I'm hoping it didn't happen. So
We'll see. I'm hoping that they make another run, prove us all that they were deserving to be in the Super Bowl last year. I know that they didn't do well in the Super Bowl, but I think if we were to secure AJ Brown, that'll give us our this organization since Randy Moss won like a top end wide receiver that we haven't had in a while. You secure that left side of the line and you get that deep threat, and I think that we'll be well on our way to winning another Super
well, I hope that
Bowl
doesn't
this coming.
happen. I hope that doesn't happen.
You and maybe half of or three quarters of the United States probably wish the same thing.
Okay. Okay, let's go to our next segment. I actually want you to bring this one up because I think that you have some pretty good insight on this for the most part. But we'll go ahead and start with you, and we'll talk about the military versus locker room.
Yeah, this is the military versus locker room segment. This is something that I thought about. We're both from the military. We have an idea of different happenings within the military, and we're both within sports. We've done, semi-professional sports at some level, youth hockey, youth, soccer in general. So we can both speak to both sides of things. So just drawing the comparison between the
Yeah.
two. And so I wanted to get your take on, leadership specifically. Is it something, and you can go with sports or military, is it something that is learned or earned, I should say, or is it assigned? Earned being, you go out there, you show your team that you're worthy of being a leader, or is it just, hey, I'm going to give you the C for your jersey or the rank, and you naturally get it?
Well, personally, I think it should always be earned. always, even in the military. I don't like that because in the military it's a sign. I mean, like you don't really have a choice whether or not you're ready for it. And I will say that there's times where I think you get put in a position and you might become very good at it. But there's a lot of people that I thought that got put in positions that didn't that should not have been in charge. And so I would say earn because you trust, you have well, first of all, you could trust that person. Like for instance, in the position I'm in right now, I'm even for work, we'll just say for work, right? I get a lot of leadership positions because I earned it, not because it's not even a good old boy system. It is a good old boy system in the sense that like they trust me enough to sit there and run things for them. So it's like there is, but even for being the president of the union, I didn't ask for that. I earned it. People trusted me enough to sit there and take care of them because I am very like outspoken and I do take care of people. Um, but I will say, for military, it sucks because you just have to kind of go with whoever gets assigned to those positions. And even if you earn it, there's a good chance you could earn you could do a lot for the military and never get the position you want, and it does suck that you can't do more than that. You know what I mean? You get kind of trapped in, these little situations like that and nothing you could do about it. You get stuck with people that like even in our old leadership that just would make really bad decisions, really bad, calls that were not for the best of the military, even for best for the troops. And I get it. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities, but I do think that you know, it also comes to the fact that have to lead by example, and I do think that a lot of that attributes to that, and that's something that you kind of learn as you go along. It's not something that's always taught, but you got to learn it. So, but yeah, what about you, man? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think these are very similar situations in a sense where if you really think about it, most coaches, most teams, I'm referencing ice hockey, they assign a C or an A to a person who's most popular or somebody who everyone seems to follow around, have that aura about them where they're just, the followers will always kind of be with them. But and same with the military. As long as you have a bachelor's degree, you're coming in as an officer traditionally, and then you're leading people. You'll get a command at some point, and I don't agree with either scenario. I think that if you're assigned a leadership position, you have to earn it at that after that point.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can get a C, you can get placed into a command or a leader position, but you have to earn it after that. You have to show your troops or show your teammates that you're worthy of that C or that A. In my opinion,
I
I
agree.
don't think that if it is assigned that you should just go with it and be like, oh, I'm a captain, I'm a leader, and automatically. That's not how it works to me.
I feel like a lot of times too as well. I don't feel like leaderships knew that or knew to do that to earn the respect of their following. So and there were times where I thought that someone I didn't like the person, but I thought they were a good leader. So like I was willing to listen or willing to go along with it. That rarely happens because but I mean it did happen in the military a lot where I was like, man, I cannot stand this person, but it's like you can't really say anything because they actually do what they say they're going to do or you know what I mean like and you can't really argue with that. So that's where times where I feel like maybe that's the exception, but that's just me though. And then you talk
No,
about
well, no, I agree with you. Just, I mean, you're talking about a new lieutenant who comes in, just got a bachelor's degree,
yeah,
fresh faced. They're probably in their low 20s, and then you have a master sergeant who's been in for 20 years, and he's 40 something years old. You're telling me that that leader right there, um, is now controlling somebody who's been in for 20 years with tons of experience, military experience. This fresh-faced lieutenant who knows nothing about the military
Butterbar,
is now
yeah.
your leader. I get that. Hey, we have to follow the officers appointed over us, but in terms of leadership, no. You need to prove yourself that you're worthy of me following you. Because right now, you're just a college graduate, in my opinion, a 20-year-old college graduate, and I'm not following you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know more than you.
Okay, then you talk about accountability. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so with accountability, again, this is in the military, and we already talked about in the last episode there with the beret burning, which I know a lot of people remember. But it exists in both sports and in the military. Punishment versus, taking away playing time. If you get in trouble or you do something that stands out for the sports side of thing. Yeah, you'll lose playing time, but I think that the level of punishment that you're getting in terms of the military is so much larger than that in sports. What do you think?
Well, give me an example of what you mean by that. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so you don't show up for, a practice for sport. The punishment for that is, hey, you're going to sit the first period of a 3-period hockey game. You don't show up for the military to like a formation or a day of work. That's AWOL.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's pretty dramatic. Yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of there's punishment associated with that, and obviously you start doing it multiple times on either side. Yeah, the punishment gradually gets worse, maybe more playing time. But what if you're an all-star player and you don't show up to a bunch of practices, but you're an awesome guy in games? You're carrying the team. It doesn't matter in the military. You can be fantastic at your job, but you can't just not show up. So, what's your take on it?
I mean, I think it's he. That's where I'm like, okay, that's where for me. I might feel a little differently about it because Um, when it comes to like accountability, if you do have an all-star player, I understood that because there would be a lot of games I wouldn't show up to or a lot of practices I wouldn't show up because I had work. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just like, especially when I played semi-pro, I would not show up to practices sometimes because it just, but I'd always still like if they didn't play me, we weren't scoring. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just the way. I mean, that's fine if they don't want to, but like I had other obligations as well, so it wasn't like I mean I was trying to work a full-time job, learning how to work at UPS, kind of in the workforce for the first time, but if we didn't have me there, we were not scoring. Like it would be the chance of Ben, the other guy, or my brother would have to sit there and play forward and then learn how to sit there and try to score. And they would, but they weren't scoring as much. It was just like I was a lot faster than a lot of other people. So I mean, like the me being fast equated to, and I didn't need to always like keep that up all the time because it was just natural for me. Like I got to a point where I played enough and I got good enough to where I didn't need to sit there and always practice every single week, even though they really wanted me to go. It's like I'm not, if I'm tired from work, I'm not going. Like it's like, but I get it. You know what I mean? Like I do feel like there's a double edged sword. But with the military, I do feel like obviously, we're dealing with you're dealing with account. Obviously, it's going to be accountability in the sense that like if one person doesn't show up, you do end up screwing over other people sometimes. Because you might get scheduled a really good like spot, and then that guy doesn't show up or like something happens and they're like, oh, by the way, you're not going to be in this wonderful spot that we're about to give you. We're going to put you outside in the desert in a little shack somewhere, or like, you know what I mean? Like it'd be something dramatic, or at the gate where you have to sit there and salute every single person that comes in. Like you're in a position where you don't want to be in that position because someone decided to show up late, and then or even not even show up at all, and then like you get kind of screwed into taking whatever they give you. So I mean, like I get it. You know what I mean? Like it's it's hard for me to see that like the what I think is like good or bad with that, but I can see both sides of that, I guess maybe. So
I think what I struggle with is having been a coach for many, many years, ultimately the punishment on like the playing time thing. If you're the best player and you're showing up to just games, at some point we have to come to the realization that no one's going like very rarely do professionals come out of these youth hockey
yeah,
programs or youth
yeah,
sports programs. So at the end of the day, the way I view it is you're building a person and you're teaching them right from wrong. And if you tell someone, hey, you can skip
yeah.
all the hard work and the practices and stuff like that, and you come to games, we have to play you. That one thing, it's gonna discourage the players who are showing up every single day and putting in the work and the team cohesiveness. They're gonna see favoritism in certain situations. Um, I think at the end of the day, I just gotta escalate that punishment for the sports side because I'm trying to build a good human being as opposed to, um, similar to the military where, if you're not showing up, you're screwing over a person, but you have to build that accountability for some people.
Yeah,
They
I
come
agree.
in,
I
that's
agree with
straight out
that.
of high school stuff.
I can see what you're saying. Like I said, I would never go because I thought it was too good. I only didn't go whenever it was like I'm too tired. Like I can't do both sometimes. And it's like I did go like at least once a week. You know what I mean? I just couldn't go like like 2 to 3 times a week. I couldn't actually probably like 3 or 4 times, but I can only go like twice a week. And I just it really I couldn't go more than that. And but like I still would like work out. I would still do stuff like that, because it was always at a weird time because like normally they want to practice at a time that's convenient for everybody, but then it would be like not really convenient for me. And I worked the super early morning shift, so I go to work at 2 a.m. or something like that in the morning, and then like I mean, work till, the next shift. And, that's an 8 hour shift right there. And I'm like, it's 6 o'clock and I'm like tired. I'm go to sleep, and then I wake up and practice is already like, we're about to you have to go to practice, but you have other stuff you have to get done too. So it's like, cause if you don't do it all done during the middle of the day, you don't get stuff done. I don't know. I get it though. I get what you're saying though. And then, okay, we're going to go into mental toughness. Now, let me hear what you think about that then. Give us some
Yeah.
examples of what you
So
think that should be like.
yeah, so mental toughness, great exposure in my recruiting career to this because I did recruit for special operations and I got to see this firsthand. And so my question is mental toughness something that is built in a person, like, or revealed through experiences? Is it something that I can build into anybody, or is it something that you truly won't know that someone has it until they're in a situation and they show? Because I can tell you I can train you up, but until you're actually in a real life situation, I don't know how you're going to react. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it's built. And the reason why I say that is because I'm going to kind of use basic training as an example. I think mental toughness is built and not revealed because we have 40 or 50 guys in a flight, and all of us are going through the same exact thing. All of us. But and generally because it's gradual. I mean, it is gradual. You're not always getting punished. You're getting punished all the time, but everybody's going through it with you, so you're not feeling singled out. Um, but we did have guys that felt like took it too personally. Like once you understand it's a game, you understand you if you could get the point of figuring out it's a game, that can't be revealed to someone. You could tell someone, hey, it's just a game, just go along with it. And they got cut back. Like, there we had like 5 guys that got cut back because mentally they had to go in the fat boy flight, the because they couldn't handle the stress. You know what I mean? They were there for months and months and months on end because they weren't washing them out right away. They keep them there for like 4 to 6 months. You know what I mean? And they just keep on getting because they couldn't handle the yelling at them and stuff. But it's like, dude, everybody's getting yelled at. Not, and to me, it's built because it was always gradual. It was never, I never felt like they put us through something you couldn't handle. And I do think that there's a certain amount of like, because I was a dorm chief. So like I had it the worst at everybody. Like when like I pushed the most. That's why my chest got freaking massive. It's like you could ask anybody, dude. My chest was like normal. Like I had like a chest that went into my chest, into my
Right.
chest, dude. Like it was like inverted into me, like and it like literally the military. Like I pushed so much, like I'm not even kidding. And then it got even worse gradually towards the end because we started doing. I learned how to do rockers and things like that. Like where you learning how to do rockers and things like that. So I'm like, I I don't know the that for me, I felt like I do feel like that part of it maybe was more revealed, but I do think that it was like everything was gradual. So I think that it built up to that. So like I don't feel like I was ever overwhelmed at that point. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That was just for me though. But and you kind of see it throughout everywhere else. You know what I mean? I do feel like people will take things more personally than other situations that if you look at it as a game, kind of like stories I've told you before where something would happen and you'd have guys that are like staff sergeants, and I'm not gonna mention any names, but you'd have guys as staff sergeant that would just be like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna, if we don't do this, we're gonna get in trouble." It's like, no, just tell them what's going on. Like, don't be afraid to say anything. But you have sergeants that it wouldn't do that, and I don't know. I think that some of that stuff you just have to really like, you have to really just build on that. And I don't know. That's a building thing for me. I think it's more built than anything else.
Yeah. So I have to disagree with you. I
Oh
think that
no,
no,
no.
honestly, I think that you like just my experience with somebody who's not good in the pool. It's a great equalizer, great way to see if they have that resiliency, the mental toughness to kind of push on. So, but that's situational to me. Like I put someone in a pool, I'm controlling that, and I can continuously put you in those situations and build you up. But at the end of the day, until you're in a real life situation where we can truly see like these are controlled situations that I'm building you up in. We put you in a real life situation. How are you going to react? That's why I think it's revealed because that's going to give you the true reaction, not a controlled situation. And what you mentioned during basic training, to me, that's revealed because there's people that are in situations and they're running away from it. Yeah, they're trying to build up confidence. They're trying to build your mental
So
resiliency, but
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then. Do you think that for me, if you're referring to me, because you kind of saw my career throughout, do you think that it was more revealed or do you think that it was more built?
I think that it was revealed because you're in a situation. I think that your confidence grew over time. So,
Okay.
but I still think your confidence grew because of the situations that you were put in over time, which built your resiliency, your mental toughness. But I think it was the situations that really revealed it to me.
Okay, I can see that. Okay, that okay. I think you might have convinced me a little bit on that. That's a good argument. I can't really rebut that because I'm trying to think of times where maybe I can see. I feel like while revealing, you're learning from that. So that's where I guess maybe where I'm getting the built from that. Maybe it's a
Yeah,
little bit of both.
sure,
You
yeah,
know, because I do see people where and like maybe it is revealed because where people will go through the same exact thing and then not handle it well. So like
yeah, yeah.
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is more revealed than anything else. And
It could be a
some people can't
combination,
even
like you
learn. Some
mentioned.
people can't even learn from that though. There's a lot of people that can't learn from that. So maybe you're right.
It could be a combination. I think, I mean, you have to be given opportunities to kind of show that it reveal that you are capable of that. But I think that the confidence in your mental toughness grows over time. The
Yeah.
more time you spend in tough situations, it's just going to continuously build on that mental toughness. But I think that you need the situations, the real life, uncontrolled mental situations to test that mental resolve.
Okay. I could see that. You made a good point. I like that point. That's good. Okay. And then you also mentioned brotherhood versus team chemistry.
Yeah, so the difference, like obviously, when it comes to special ops in general, there's a brotherhood associated with it. We both know when you join the military, this is an elite group of people. Not always, I shouldn't say just elite, but we're talking 1% of America is joining the military. So that's a brotherhood. That's an elite separate group of people that are able to do this. And then you talk about the team chemistry piece that you get with a sports team, any sports team. Would you consider like a sports team to be like a brotherhood or just a team chemistry? Or would you say, vice versa, that the military is more like team chemistry and the groups that you end up with, or is it like a brotherhood?
I think with sports, it's team chemistry. Um, because I didn't always like people who I play with, but I respected them enough to where I I knew where their position would be at. I knew that they were good at what they did, but I'd want to hang out with them. Brotherhood wise, military, I hung out with you even if I didn't like you or not. You know what I mean? Like there was times where I'd invite like tons of people in my house and just I get along generally more with military people, even so, even after now, even with regiment, there's a lot of military dudes that I'm like, I have nothing in common with them, but I seem to get along with them a little bit better than I do with everybody else in the world because there's a certain set of humor. There's a certain set of things that we've all kind of gone through, just like the dumb stuff that we've gone through, and we kind of understand the humor behind it. And I think for me I think in the military, I mean, even just keeping you're one of my only friends I still like, other than like Nito and a few others, that I still talk to. But I mean, like for the most part, I mean, I've kept longer, better friendships, I think, with the military than I have with anywhere else. And I think that's more of a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like I would do, I'd take a bullet for you. You know what I mean? I consider you a friend. So that, and I wouldn't do that for one of my teammates. Like I don't get me wrong. I think they're
Good
great
point.
players. There's great players. You know what I mean? But there's only so many people I met. Like there's even people I met in short term that I would be like, man, I love like this person's awesome. I love this person. This dude's totally cool. And I would probably, I'd probably take, there even like if I knew you got in a fight or something like that, I'd be right there with you. That's happened to me before at San Angelo. Like we've gotten fights at bars and stuff. Like it's wild. My buddy Leontino Paikuch, he's one of my friends on Facebook. We got in a fight in a bar. Like I mean, I didn't get in trouble for it, luckily, but we got in a fight, like huge fight with like this Mexican these little Mexican guys. But we're all like, everybody's all jacked. These like Texas syndicates or something like that, dudes. Like we got in a fight with them, like in a bar. You know what I mean? Like it just happens that way. I never would have thought that I would have been wanting to defend someone that's like in a brotherhood type deal. I feel like that really correlates with that. And like I said, one of my teammates, so I'm like, get in a fight, dude. That's on you, bro. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Like I said, it really just depends. It really depends on the person. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with you. I think the next wrinkle would be, what if this is a lifelong team where you started off in the lowest level as a young child and you grew up with the same players every year? Does it become a brotherhood? Is it comparable?
And maybe maybe if you went pro, I think maybe that your mindset might change a little bit. But I still feel like there's guys that I played with for years that like I'd sometimes get the same guy on my team every single year that we'd play with. And there were certain guys I just didn't like them, and it's okay I didn't like them. I just wouldn't sit there and like, I wouldn't fight anybody for them. You know what I mean? Like I just, and I felt like that was more frequent with sports teams than I'd say in the military. I feel like in the military, it's a lot different. There's a lot more people I'd want to help out than I would in a sports team. Even now, you know what I mean? Like, there's just, I feel like it's really specific. There's a specific type of person. Like for instance, and I'm gonna mention this, just to give you an example, and I'm not trying to go too off topic here, but I think it is relevant. When we went on the Disney cruise this last year, there was another couple there, and me and the dad got along. One of the other main dads for the acting dads, we got along really well. We had a huge conflict at we went to go to the movie theaters. Now, I guess there you're not allowed to reserve seating, and his dad, who is one of the actor grandparents, his dad was there, and he saved seats for me and him because we went to go get the kids from like the little areas that they hang out at, and we both went to go get the kids so we could bring him to go watch this movie. Well, this guy starts trying to fight the old man. Mind you, we loved the little that family was the one family we got along with, but like. Dude, I was about to throw it, dude. I was about to throw down, dude. Like in this, he was just acting like such a jerk and just screaming at the old man, at this dude's dad, and me and him were like arguing with them. So then he notices that me and him are arguing with them too, and he's just like, he starts to calm down a lot because there's now two guys that are a lot younger. But he's like trying to fight this 80-year-old dude or 70-year-old dude, like trying to fight him over seats at a movie theater. And I'm like, and I like the other guy so much. I'm like, I was like, I'm about to throw, I'm about to beat this dude up for like, just acting all crazy. I didn't want to. Obviously, I didn't want to go too crazy, but I mean, I would do the same thing for you. But they were so cool. Me and him went drinking out, like just drinking like normal. Just kind of doing that whole thing. It was a good time. But I do think that you could click with people on teams because we're essentially on a team. There's certain people that you might do it, but as a brotherhood as a whole, I just don't see that. There's a lot more people I defend in the military that I've defended in the military that I didn't really care for. That I made sure that I watched their back in case something happened. So I mean, like, and sometimes I didn't like them. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a lot different. Where I feel like you go through way more things in the military. You're going through so much more stress. And I do think that you have to, because you're all going through the same thing. And
Mhm.
I think that you're on shift with someone for so long. You learn so much about them. You learn so much about everything about them. It's like, it's hard to not be like the big brother to them or like the protector of them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple times where I even, like I said, got in some pretty weird situations where like, again, I don't want to say too much, but I almost got in several fights in the military, just the way it was. You have to stand up for yourself sometimes, and you just gotta protect your friends, people that you're going through it with. So I don't know. Maybe I see it differently. You might probably have
Yeah.
more because I know that you are all on the same team for a long period of time. I think with some of the guys that I think maybe you did hockey with, but for me,
Yeah.
I just didn't see it, and it's hard to separate the two. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's easy to separate the two for me.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that the differences here are, when you go to a sports team, regardless, it's very young-minded individuals. It's very cliquish, like you said.
Yeah, yeah,
The mentality isn't the same across the board. There's some people that are there to like showcase their individual talent.
yeah,
There's other people there that value team play. There's other people that are there for the recreational piece of it because they enjoy playing a sport. Others there that want to win a championship. But I think with the military, there's a common purpose assigned to every individual that enters the military, and they know what that common purpose is. You're defending this country. So knowing that, and then everyone has the same story to tell early on anyways.
yeah,
We went through basic training, we get to share those experiences. That's why I think when you go out there into the civilian sector or just move from base to base and you come across another military member, whoever it is, you can share and relate to that person regardless because they joined for a specific purpose and they went through the same stressors and the experiences that you have,
yeah,
at least early on. So to me, that's a brotherhood, and it doesn't matter where you go, you always have it.
yeah,
Clicks within sports and the reasons they're doing the sports changes
yeah.
as they grow older, and I think that it's not as close. Like you're saying, 1% of America can join the military. That's a group of people that are choosing to do this. Sports, it's hey, I'm choosing to play this sport this year, next year, maybe I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone's motivations are different, but I think there's a big delineation between sports and the military. While some of the concepts are similar, I think overall the brotherhood is 100% more military related than sports related.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like, I think that might be the biggest difference. I think there's a big difference between the two. And then our last one's showing up obligation versus commitment.
Yeah. So ultimately, are you showing up to a sport or to the military because it's an obligation, or is it the commitment to the sport that makes you show up? What are you feeling on that?
I think initially for sports, it was commitment. I was committed to wanting to win. I don't like losing. So automatically, but there was a certain point when I did semi-pro where I realized that the gap between how good I thought I was in terms of how, compared to other people, I'm like, I don't think I could, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't, and I'm not saying that, like, I probably could have if I really were like tried and just really pushed myself and made that my entire being. But like, I wasn't willing to make that commitment. So for me, it was a little different. And then it became obligation. So maybe initially it started off as commitment. And then military was definitely obligation.
You better be there.
It was a career. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like work now. I mean, it is more of an obligation. I will say, with certain things, with my job now, I've been offered other jobs now. And now for me, maybe this is more commitment as opposed to obligation with my job now. I love my job now. I love working with dogs. I love doing that. So maybe it's a little bit of both, I guess, because I know I have to take the job, but I've been offered more money. I've been offered to do other things, and I'm I've been always hesitant because that means I get off of a dog and I have to sit there and do something that I don't like as much, if that makes sense. You don't get as much accolades for being just normal security or like executive protection agent. You get more accolades for looking for explosives. So it's like, what sounds more important? It sounds way cooler. I get to say I look for explosives for a living. So and I've been doing that for a long time now. So, and I haven't died yet. So it's kind of a cool thing. So I think it's probably, I don't know, probably a little bit more commitment than anything else. I'm committed to the
I mean,
craft.
I I agree with you. I think it transitions,
Yeah.
like you said. I think for me specifically, when it came to sports or even anything in general, a workplace, a job, anything. If I commit to something, that person I know is relying on me to be there. So I know that comes into like the obligation piece of it, but mentally, the commitment piece for me is I told you I was going to be there. I'm a man of my word. I'm going to be there.
It's
I
kind of like
told
me
you I'm going to
showing
pay
up
you
to your
back.
retirement.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. But like the obligation, I know that there's obligation required. Obviously, when you sign a contract to join the military, you better be there. But at the same time, I made a commitment to that. So to me, they're one and the same. I'm going to do this because I said I was going to be there. I know with a sports team, do I technically have to be there? No. But also, as you get into a sport, if you start to learn that this team probably won't win or do as well without me, it becomes a little bit of an obligation because now I know one, I committed, but doesn't force me to be there. But knowing that if I don't show up, my team's going to struggle. So that's the obligation piece of it, where I feel like I need to be there if we're going to give ourselves a shot at winning, you know?
Yeah,
So
I
I
agree.
think it's a little bit of both.
I agree. Yeah, I really think that those are good questions, man. Those really thought provoking questions, and I think that was really good. Um,
Well, you're going to love the next ones then, because there's a new segment that we're introducing. I've seen it done a few times, and I pulled a lot of questions off of like Reddit and in real life scenarios. The segment is called "Are We the Assholes?"
yeah.
So I want to give you some scenarios and
Okay.
just get your take on how you would move forward. What are your thoughts, opinions on it?
Of
There's no
course.
right or wrong answer with this, of course, but
There's always a right or
it,
wrong answer.
sure there is. Usually it's mine that's right.
Yeah, of course.
So the first scenario, and again, I caught this off of Reddit. If you commit to a team, a rec team, so a Met Beer League, whatever it is, and you don't show up continuously, don't show up. You say you're going to be there, but you don't show up continuously. Should you be invited back?
No, no. I think it's unfair to the team. I think it's unfair to, even if they're a crappy team, it doesn't matter where they're standing. If you make, I'm big on, like, if I say I'm going to do something, I got to do it. I told you I was going to go to your retirement. I didn't think you probably didn't think I was going to come initially. The initial thought was probably he's not going to show up. Because but when I say I'm going to do something, I try to do it. And I think if it was a rec league, I don't think you should be invited back unless you prove them that, hey, you know what, I'm really going to make time for this. Sorry that this happened, or at least show some, sympathy or show some like remorse, I should say, about doing that the first time, and then maybe when you're ready to take on a responsibility like that, then you could come back to something like that. But I don't think they should invite you back. No, I think that's messed
What if you're a guy that scores 6 goals every time you show up?
up.
Like you dominate a game, and just knowing that that's a possibility, that if you do show up, you're dominating the game. You could carry us to a win by yourself. Do you
So
still?
let me ask you this then: Are we getting the championship, or are we not going to the championship with me showing up
You don't
whenever I
know.
want?
This could be just regular season that could lead to a championship, but you just don't know if he's going to continue to show up. Do you take someone knowing that he could put in 6 goals or just not show up at all?
Well, I'd rather him do it for us than do it for another team, personally.
Well,
Because like the
so
times
not
that he does show up, I'm like, we're gonna win for sure. I don't know. Maybe I feel a little differently about it because I was that person. So like, it's harder for me to sit there and like look outside of that because they needed me. So it wasn't like and if I wanted to go play with another team, that would suck for them. You know what I mean? Like they would lose for sure. It would be an immediate loss. So I mean, maybe I would feel differently about it. But if I need players, like if I'm the best player on the team and we have a guy that's like very mediocre or like less than mediocre that's doing that, like I feel like that's an easy replacement. But it is hard to find really good players. It is. It's that's even with hockey. I'm sure it's very hard to get somebody that can score consistently. Because
oh
I
yeah.
don't. It's just like playing soccer. It's no different. It's hard to get a goal a game. I mean, it's not easy. You have to be good enough to at least make a goal if you're going to be a starting forward or starting striker or whatever you want to call it for either one of them. It's not easy, and you have to be able to outmaneuver, outplay, outkick the goalie as well as the defenders. If you got one person that can do that but shows up whenever he wants, I mean, to me, I'm like, I would be like, I just let him show up whenever he wants. But if it was somebody that was less than that, I can just get a body. Sometimes it's good to just have a body there. You know what I mean? They might not be the best player, but I'd rather be playing with like rotations and stuff like that to get people rotated out than have someone that's not going to show up. And I would just get enough players just sit there and play without them. And if we get him in there, that's great. If we don't, then hey, But I maybe you feel differently about it, but that's how I feel. So
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like
it does matter.
if you stop inviting him and he does start, getting the invite from another team, that hurts you. But so for me, I'm still inviting you, but at the same time, I'm finding like where each of my subs are located and getting someone within like 5 minutes just in case he doesn't show up. And I'm giving that person a call saying, "Hey, this guy didn't show up again. I need you here." But I don't want to run the risk. I don't want to run the risk of this guy playing that scores 6 goals a game to play for another team.
Yeah.
So trends analysis would tell me, let's be logical. 9 times out of 10, he's not showing up, but I'm not going to run the risk of him playing for another team. So I'm going to have a list of subs within the 10 mile, or not a 10 mile, a 10-minute radius, who I can give a call within 20 minutes of the game starting, and they can be in.
Well,
Like
it's
I said,
just good to
I
have
don't want to
subs.
be a
It's good to
man
have
down.
subs. It's good to give people a break for like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Especially if it's like an hour game. It's like sometimes you need the subs. I don't really sub out that often. I'd only sub out when I was really tired. I needed like a quick 5 minutes to myself. But like when you're main player, you're not subbing out that often. Like it just doesn't happen. And then when you start subbing, you start losing out. So it's like sometimes it's better to be in the whole game.
Yeah. So you have to kind of navigate it. It's tricky to navigate that situation, but I think you hit the nail on the head where you just got. For me, I got to keep inviting the dude, even though I know he's not going to show up half the time.
Yep. 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 Yep.
The next one I got was, so hypothetically, if you're taking over a men's rec league that's been going strong for years, these guys have been playing together for a while,
Okay.
but the team has been terrible due to not having the same caliber of players as the other teams. Like the other teams in the league are continuously improving by getting the younger guys or the more skilled guys, while your team maintains the status quo and essentially it's just getting worse. So it's hard for them to win. So am I the asshole if I revamp and cut all of the older or less skilled guys in an attempt to make the team overall better and more competitive?
I almost don't want to answer this because like I feel a little in the middle about it. Because here's the thing I'd have to say. Um, if you are taking over a team and they're okay with just losing, I already feel like that's the wrong. I've been on a team before where they were okay with just playing. They just like, oh, I just want to play. I don't want to win. And I already that mindset's already a terrible mindset to have. I don't
Oh yeah.
like if we're doing this, like, yeah, you know what? I want to take it a little bit more seriously than you are. I mean, the fact I hate when people sit there and, oh, don't take it seriously. It's just a game. It's just a game. I'm just like, well, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm taking time out of my day to try to win and like do all this stuff, I would start to maybe do it a little slower instead of just cutting everybody immediately, but start using subs more often and giving the older guys more of a break and then an even longer break and an even longer break and just let them. That's how I would do it. I would just slowly kind of weed them out. I don't know if I just cut them right away because I feel like that'd be kind of messed up. But at the same time, like it really just depends on what they're bringing to the table and their mindset that's coming to the table. That's if they were just completely like, I'm only doing this just because I'm just kind of having fun, not really, not taking this seriously. I don't care if I get a goal scored on me. Then I'm like, dude, then you can't play. We can't play with that. Like, there's no way. Like, I mean, everybody else is trying and you're not. Like, that's what that equates me to. Like you're not. Everybody else is trying, you're not because you don't care if you win or not. That's not
Yeah.
fair to everybody else. It's really not.
Yeah. I'm a competitive dude, so for me, if I'm gonna do something, if I'm gonna commit to doing something, I'm committing to working as hard as I can. This isn't like my daily workout for me. This is, hey, I'm gonna go. I don't care if it's beer league or not. I want to win. I don't care. I want to win. And if that means I got to cut all the guys that are less skilled because they should have been cut years ago, then I'll do that. I'll cut them all. All the old ones, all the less skilled guys, unless they bring something else like they're a great locker room guy
Yeah,
or they're
yeah.
big.
And that's what I mean. Like if they bring the fact that they really want to win, but they just suck, you can work with I feel like you can work with that. Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
I do feel like you can work with that more. And you can put there's a position for everyone. You know what I mean? Like generally. So I get that. That's
But they have to realize it too. Like if you're in crunch time, you're down by a goal, sub yourself out. Let's maybe shorten the bench a little bit. Understand that you're probably one of the weaker guys, despite what you bring to the table,
no one believes in the
mentality
weak
wise.
guy. No one
But
believes in the weak.
you have to come to the realization that maybe you're getting a little up there in age. Maybe you're not going to be able to keep up, and you're a little bit of a liability out there. If you can't come to that realization, I'm sorry, I can't have you on the team because I need you to realize that this is crunch time. We all want to win, including you and your old ass. But at the end of the day, I need you to stay on the bench. Crunch time, you're on the bench. Just
Yeah.
know that you can cheer on the team, do whatever you got to do on the bench. Hand me a beer, a water. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your
But
service.
you can be on the team, but just have the realization that you're not that skilled
I
anymore.
did get a little frustrated with Ethan's coaches one time. One year that he played, his coach was like, "Oh, we're just doing this for fun. We're not doing this to win." And I'm like, "Dude, what are you taught?" Like, I do not like that mentality at all. Like, especially to coach. That's we ended up switching to a different team after that. 'Cause he's like, "Oh, I'm doing it again next year if you guys want to come back." And me and a couple of the other more serious like dads were like, "We're not gonna come back to this team again." Like, it's just not gonna happen. I just that's
Well,
no.
that's the thing though, is there's different levels in youth sports. There's rec league where you can, or house league we call it, where you're just out there to have fun and learn the sport a little bit. Then you have your travel teams and your club hockey teams, and it escalates in how competitive and how committed you are as a player. Because if you're playing club level or elite level sports, you're taking these off ice practices. You're doing maybe a personal trainer if you're that
Yeah.
committed. But there's different levels along the way. So if it doesn't fit you, I mean, if you're 60 years old, there's 60 and over leagues out there. Maybe go play over there. Or you're not able to keep up with the speed of the game. Maybe just do like a pickup skate or something like that once a week, as opposed to kind of being a liability on a team.
all of any old fans we have here are gonna be like hate us now. Like thanks a lot of. I'm just kidding.
But there's got to be a level of, I'm not saying like there are some 60-year-olds out there that are freaking awesome. Got it. You have a place on my team. That's fine. But if you can't come to the realization that you're getting blown past and you're giving up 20 goals a game and you're losing every game because you're out there every time for a goal, there's got to be some self-assessment associated with you and your skill sets. At some point you have to say to yourself, all right, I need to go to a 60 and over or 50 and over, whatever that looks like. I have to downgrade and make, because I'm hurting the team. I shouldn't have to tell you that you're hurting the team. You should see it.
Or go on the team that's having fun and not taking anything seriously that's in last place.
Yeah.
And that you could be the best player on that team, just losing all the time.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, you want to get your daily exercise in, fantastic. Take your
Start your own
Metamucil
team.
go. I don't know.
No,
That's
I get it. I
I
get it.
know I know it's a lot. It's very brash and straightforward, but honestly, if I'm taking over a team, I got to cut the dead weight and do it quickly. Pull the band-aid off. Do it, move on. Sorry. But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to add
No,
to
no, that
that?
was perfect. That was a good question.
Yeah, yeah. So the next one I found was, and this is a common thing more recently. So, am I the asshole for forcing my kids into a sport? My child stays in their room playing games, so I sign them up for a sport to get them active and social. They hate it. They look miserable, and they say I'm wasting their time. I took their door off of the hinges because they kept locking themselves in to avoid practice. What's your take on it?
I mean, I think that all kids should have to go through sports and just kind of get that understanding of how to work together. I think it builds up good. I think there's things that can build up with good quality, learning like team. What would you call that?
Like the camaraderie, the
Yeah, team
teamwork.
camaraderie, teamwork, all that. I think that that's important. Um, and I do feel like kids should not be playing video games all the time. My kids play a lot of video games, but I also want them to be outside a lot. They go to the park a lot. They do a lot of outdoor stuff. They're big into the outdoors. So like, we do a lot of we try to balance it a little bit. And if they have to be doing something though. There's got to be something that they got to do. I do feel like early on that's important. If they don't go through anything, I just feel like your kid's just not going to be as productive. That's just my opinion. But I guess I don't know what is your that's I think that one's pretty cut and dry for me. I think that my kids didn't always like it. It's hot in Texas. You know what I mean? So it's not always fun to be out in the heat doing it. But my daughter was really good. Evelyn's really good at soccer, and so is Ethan. They're both pretty good. So I mean, like they're both active. They know how to they especially Evelyn. She's really good at soccer. She was like luckily it was her first couple times playing it, but I mean overall I think that she could do really well with it. So it's something that I've considered, putting her back into, just in general. She doesn't want to do it, but I think that she should be in something.
No, and I agree with you. I think this is pretty cut and dry. In my opinion, sports has played such a crucial part in how I developed as a human being. It instilled the commitment level because my parents said, "Hey, if you're committing to something, there's no quitting. You're going to show up to every practice and every game unless you're sick.
Yeah.
Something's happening." Um, and at the other part of it, the commitment, the drive to be successful, the competitiveness. So if I'm in a competitive situation, am I going to shy away from it? If I don't have exposure to competitive situations, I might not know how to react in the real world when competing for high level positions. And I'm not saying you can only get that from sports. You can definitely get that from anything.
Yeah.
But
Work ethic and all
one
that.
of the
Yeah.
things, yeah, one of the things I told my kids growing up was, I don't care what you do, but you're going to do something, whether it's chess club, drama club, civil, whatever after school, a sport in
Civil
general,
War
horseback,
Civil War reenactments.
whatever. As long as you're
Just kidding.
doing something, that's better than sitting on electronics. In my opinion, today's world, everything is like I'm going to date myself. When I was growing up, we got the internet off of dial-up. It became this fast thing. Computer games was just coming up. Cell phones. It was nice to have like pictures on your cell phones. It was more just like pagers, beeping people here and there throughout school. But at the end of the day, nowadays, everything, all that stimulation is coming through electronics now. And I think when kids get pushed outside during the summer because you're telling them to go outside and do something, they don't have that level of creativity anymore that they once did because they're so used to the stimulation being readily available at any point in the day through their electronics. So for me, I think that all kids like you should be playing some type of sport or some type of activity, whatever that looks like. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, something that gets you outside, moving around, so your muscles aren't atrophying while sitting in front of a TV screen for hours on
Yeah.
end.
No, I agree with you on that. That's funny.
Um, am I the asshole for spending more money on the more dedicated kid with their specific sport? So if you this goes for the people that have multiple sports playing children within their family, you notice that one of them is a little bit more committed or a lot more committed to their sport as opposed to another. Are you spending more money in investing in them or equally?
It depends. It depends. I do feel like for instance, there's going to be a difference between my oldest and my youngest in terms of at what point in time they're going to want to take it more seriously or not. Um, so I would have trouble with that. I want to say my first instinct is to say yes, that it's okay. Um, However, with kids and having sons and daughters, they all, at a certain age, your boys change and how they, become more responsible. And same with girls. Girls are a lot seem to be more responsible at an earlier age than boys do. So making that decision for them might be the right thing to do, and just putting them into those sports and doing the same amount, even if they're not, taking it as seriously as the other one. You know what I mean? Because I think at a certain point, when with soccer for me, my parents put me in it, and I will say there was a point in time where I was not a big fan of it, of soccer and stuff like that. There was a point in time I didn't want to do it anymore. Then I started to become good, and then it started to become like a very like, man, maybe I should take it a little bit more seriously. But it didn't start right away. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like my youngest sister took to it a lot better than I did. I took to it as I got older, and I wanted to become better. So it's like we had two different time frames in which where I think that maybe, I should have probably taken it more seriously. But, you know, if it were my kids, I guess I would try to just stay consistent with it, because you're also losing out on that time frame of when, like when they decide that, hey, you know what, I'm actually really good at this, it might be too late, and you just cost them 6 years or 4 years or 3 years of not paying into it. Then you also have to sit there and weigh in the factors, like if you do all that money spending and then they decide not to go with it, was it worth it for you? And that's where you have to weigh as a parent. For me, I think it's always worth it. I think for the kids to just experience these things and do these things and show them that you put as much into it as you could. So I think that that's important. So
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that the timeline is always going to be different unless you have triplets, or
yeah,
twins,
yeah,
and they're going through it at the same time.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, I don't want to shelter, my children from any possibility. So if they're committed to something and they want, and that commitment level shows that they're out there practicing all day long, and that leads to maybe a higher quality team that they make. Obviously, with that comes a higher expense level because they're on an elite team or travel team. So hotels expenses, entry fees into tournaments, that those are just extra costs. And maybe the other one, it's a little slower to develop, but they still enjoy playing the sport. That's fine. I'm going to spend the money based on the opportunities that are in front of you.
yeah,
If you want to, I'm going to ask you both. Do you want to do a camp over the summer to kind of expand your capabilities? And if you both say yes, fine. I'll spend money on both of you. Doesn't matter the commitment level. If one says no, that's fine. But you're going to do something, whatever that something is.
yeah,
But if the commitment level dictates that I'll end up spending more over here as opposed to over here, then that's fine. I'm just not going to say no. I'm not going to spend more money over here because I don't want to eliminate the possible options on that
yeah.
side just because I'm thinking about balance.
Well, it's also showing your lack of commitment to your own kids as well, in a way. So, no,
I mean, I guess you could force them to like, hey, you're going to go to this camp. At the end of the day, at some point you might have to step in and say, hey, you have some talent here, and I know you don't want to do this hard work, but I'm going to make the decision for you. I think this is going to be good for you. But let's you tell me what you want to do. You go and do this camp, and I'll pay for that. And on the other side, you tell me what you want to do, and we'll do that as well. Make it like a tit for tack
yeah,
scenario.
I can see that. I can see that.
Um, Anything else for that one? Did you want to
No,
add to that?
no, 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 no. We're good.
Yeah. So, all right. So, am I the asshole for letting my son or daughter try out again? My husband says I'm here. I'm being an asshole for letting my son try out for a team he's likely to fail at again and save him the embarrassment. I think he or she needs to learn from failure and pursue his passion. So someone didn't make the team, 3 or 4 years in a row. It's unlikely that the coach is going to select them. Do you sign them up to travel for that team still, or knowing that they're probably not going to make the team,
Well, I
or
I
do you
have
say
to
cut the line?
ask, like, what's going on in between that? Because, like, if you're just waiting, like, for instance, if you're not putting in the effort off season to get him into that thing, and you're like, my husband says I'm being, like an a hole for letting your son try out again for a team that he's not making. I do feel like, well, what are you doing with your kid? Now, is your kid a fat kid? I'm not trying to talk trash, but I mean, is your kid a fat kid that can't make it, that can't run? Well, then, hey, off season, change his diet, make him exercise, get him to lose, 10, 20 pounds. And then, yeah, like I think that a lot of times people are, I mean, in every team they're looking for the best. It's just like it's not just one of those things, especially when you're doing travel teams, things like that. I think it's only fair that they're going to look for the best players. They're not going to pick up someone who's not. Everyone else is showing dedication to the craft. Everyone else is showing that they can run for X amount of time. Everyone can show that they're doing all that. If it's a traveling team, that's different. Now, if you want to sign them up for something that's a little bit more low caliber and do something like like the annual teams where they do a summer and winter team thing, that's different. Then sign them up for that. And I think that because you could take it a little less more serious, he still gets to learn, and he's still getting something out of it. But I mean, like if and I'm not trying to say anything about fat kids or anything like that, but I'm saying like there is, you do have to consider that. You do have to consider,
Yeah.
everyone else is putting all this effort in. They're trying to stay in shape. They're even some kids, for a long time, me and Ethan were working out together. I take him to the gym with me. I mean, to just get him to get him stronger. I mean, like you have to do those things nowadays because you're competing with kids who are going to be stronger, faster than your kid, and unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And no matter what, if you're the coach, you are going to pick the best player. Like I played in high school in soccer, played high school in soccer, and I played football. They're going to sit there. They want the best players for the position. They're not going to pick the dude that's, if I could run a 6 minute mile, they're not going to pick the guy that's running an 8 minute mile. You know what I mean? That's just like common sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, like even for like, and that happens with like the workplace. When I not volunteer, when I worked for the Adelsons, you know what I mean? I had to compete with 2,500 people. So 2,500 people went in for the job. 30 people got interviewed. Out of the 30 people that got interviewed, five of us only made it to the hiring to the combatives, the firing, and the workout portion. And out of that, they choose the best, like the most qualified person. So guess what? If I had to run under a 7:30, a 7:38 or something like that, like I had to do that. Like I'm competing with other people that are running at that level, and I had to do it. There was no choice. I had to do it. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing I could have done about that. And they're not going to pick the guy that ran a 7:40 because guess what? You're 2 seconds over the minimum that they wanted. Everyone else can make it under the 7:40 or 7:38, but one. You got taken off. The guy that scored under an 87%. You had to shoot at above an 87%. I got a 92%. The guy that scored an 82 got disqualified and he couldn't go for the job. There's echelon of like, yeah, that they're gonna pick the best of the best. That's how life works if you're trying to do that. So it's like, yeah, that's for me. That's big on that. I'm big on that.
There's so many factors that play into this for me. First off, if my son or daughter said, "Hey, I want to try out for this team," and it's consistent, and they're not making the team, I'm not somebody who's going to come out and be like, "No, you can't." I'm not going to
I
take away
agree.
opportunities because I think that a
Well, let me ask
parent
you
should.
this. So if your kids are not putting in the effort and you as a parent are putting in effort, are you still going to let them sign up? Are you still going to
I'm
sign them up
having
if you're personally not putting the effort to make your kids better? Are you still going to
I'm
sign them up?
having a I'm having a conversation with them. Um, the year after they try out, they didn't make the team. I'm having a conversation saying, "Hey, if this is what you're lacking, it's an upfront and honest conversation. If you want to make this team next year and you tell me you want to try out, I support you in doing that. But you need to do X, Y, and Z to be competitive for this
Okay.
team. If I as a parent don't have that conversation and you tell me, hey, I want to go try out for this team, it's going to be hard for me to say, yeah, let's go out and try out. You didn't put in any extra effort. I didn't have the conversation with you to let you know that you need to put in extra effort. But there's so many things that happen. People move away, opportunities open up. Maybe you're a borderline player, but at the end of the day, I think that everyone has their own strong suit. You might be a fantastic ice hockey skater and a terrible hockey player, meaning you don't have a mind for it, vice versa. So if I think that you're capable of contributing to a team and they don't select you because you're not the best skater, in your borderline, I'm still going to give you the opportunity, but I'm going to have the conversation. Let's work on your skating. Let's do a camp over the summer.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
I'm not going to put you in a situation where you're going to continuously fail if there's no extra effort on your side either.
Well, like I said,
Because there,
I agree with that. Like I said, I agree with this. I just think that there has to be context to that, though. You know what I mean? Like it can't just be one of those situations where
yeah,
all year long they're just waiting to try out, but they're not doing anything to better themselves, or they're doing the bare minimum. You have to go above and beyond to be the
yeah,
best. You just have to. Like, and sometimes your best isn't going to be at the level of these kids as well. You know what I mean? Sometimes you
Sure.
have to go further than that, and that's just the way it is. Like that's just, again, that's what the coaches are going to be looking for. So continue, man. We can go to the next one if you want.
Yeah. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my kid play football? I know my son wants to play, but I refuse to allow him to play tackle football due to the risks of brain injury, even though he claims to be a good cornerback and he wants to play with his friends.
I mean, cornerbacks aren't getting hit that much, man. I mean, they're doing the more
They're
the
doing
hitting.
the
They're
hitting.
doing the hitting,
Cornerbacks.
but they're not getting hit. That's a huge to me. I don't know. I had a big thing with this with my parents. I always wanted to play football over soccer more than anything, and my parents were afraid that I was going to get hurt. I got hurt more often in soccer than I did in football. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I broke my leg like twice and my arm twice. You know what I mean? Like in soccer. You know what I mean? Like but it just the thing is like I don't know. I feel differently about this. I would let my kid play football personally. I get it, but there's a lot of positions that you can do that you're not going to get head injuries on. You know what I mean? Like and the quarterback, like I said, they're doing the tackling. They're not necessarily unless they intercept the ball and they're running it back. Yeah, if they're that good, yeah, they're probably getting hit a lot more than normal. But you always run the sidelines. There's a lot of things you can do to keep yourself from getting hurt. And I don't know. I'm not against it. But like if your kid shows really good potential, I don't see why not. Like he's a really good cornerback, like she says or he says. If I would let that ride, you know what I mean? Like get a free house out of it. Your kid will be it's like that. I'm just kidding. No.
I just I think that there's so many advancements with preventing brain injuries now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not foolproof, but nothing is. Like you said, you got injured more playing soccer. Every sport has risk associated. Walking down the street has a risk associated with it. Yeah, are you subjecting yourself in sports to higher levels of risk? Sure,
Yeah.
but it's everything's within reason. Unless you're putting your kid in two age levels higher than their size can handle
Yeah.
and they're getting smacked around, then that's bad parenting. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to say. But I don't care how talented they are. If they're undersized, and they're still high school students who are undersized, but if you're competing against kids 4 years, 5 years, 6 years older,
I agree
and
with
you don't
that.
have the size to back you up, yeah, you're going to get smoked up. And yeah, there's a big risk there. But at the end of the day, let the kids play with their friends, let them enjoy their time. It goes quick. There's risk of injury with everything. You could say brain injuries are worse than everything, but at the end of the day, if you tear a freaking MCL, ACL, PCL, whatever they are, all in the knee, you may not ever be the same.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you could do that in anything. So I think you just got to let kids be kids.
Yeah.
If they want to play a sport, let them play the sport and just support them and take as many precautions as you can to make them as as safe as they can be when playing the sport.
Yeah. I
My
agree.
take on it. Um, last one. Last one, yeah. Well, actually, second to last one. Am I the asshole for choosing a game over a wedding? I bailed on a wedding to watch a once in a lifetime football game. I found a replacement attendee so the couple wouldn't lose money, but my wife is still furious. It's
Context here again, honestly, I don't
football
know.
Super
I
Bowl.
I so here's my thing. I always prioritize my friends and family over things like that. So even if I got invited to Super Bowl, unless it was like for instance, if it was your retirement or a Super Bowl, I would pick your retirement. That's just the way I am though. Yeah, yeah, I would. Or I'd say, "Hey, we could skip your retirement. Both of us should go to the Super Bowl if I have an extra ticket."
Yeah,
That would be the different thing. But I mean, obviously if it's a wedding, and I'm assuming it's someone that's close. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times weddings, some of them are just we invite everybody. A lot of them are like more 100 people or less. Like if it was my brother's wedding, I'm so glad I went to that. I got to experience my brother's wedding. I didn't get to go to my sister's, but I got to go to my brother's, and that was an amazing wedding. I was really happy I went. I'm glad I got the time off. It was when I was in the military still, so like I was able to make the time for it, and I was so happy I went. It was the best thing I've ever seen. When you're seeing your little brother get married, it's like for me, my little brother, it's a little different, because we're not as competitive. We love each other a lot. So it's like, but he doesn't really compete with me on that level like the way your brother does. Like it's not like a real competitive relationship like that. It's a more like I'm like the older brother and I treat him like the younger brother type situation. So I'm the oldest. So it's more like a proud moment, you know what I mean, for me as
yeah,
opposed to anything else. But I mean, like if it's like a friend that I'm not really like close to, and like if it's like a cousin that I'm not like as close to, or like I could be like, hey, I'm gonna choose this. I'm gonna choose like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. It's not gonna be able to happen. like if it's just again, if I'm more like a extra, I'm not gonna care as much. I don't think they'd care as much either. I'd send them a really nice gift, like really nice gift, signed jersey or something, you know, like a jersey of the person I went to, you know, like or something. I
Oh
don't
no,
know. I would do
at the
something.
Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
So yeah, photo. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel a little. I'm a little different with that, but I mean, like I don't know. I would generally choose like if it was a friend's wedding, close friend's wedding, I'd go to the wedding.
Yeah, this is tough. I also need some context with this as well. What is the lifetime event? Like what are we talking here? And then two, what's my role and how close am I in that wedding
Yeah.
individual? I think that is a big factor. If we're talking about a family member who's really, really close with you, yeah, I'm choosing family, friends if they're really close friends. Uh, am I best man? Do I have a role within the wedding? Is it that close of a relationship? Or am I just an extra, just being there, in attendance? And I'll fill that. At the end of the day, I'm going to take the lifetime event if it's non-family
Yeah.
or that like good friend related. Like you're talking a once in a life, like Masters. It's a draw, and you may never get selected. You might sit there and you find your number gets pulled, and now you
Yeah,
can
that
go for the
sucks.
first time.
That sucks. Yeah, I will say that's crazy. That is, I understand that
Yeah,
the lottery
that's an
system.
opportunity. But at the same time, if it's your brother's wedding, there's only one. Oh, usually there's only one. Uh, I'm going to the brother's wedding. If it's like an okay friend and they just threw an invite out, and I'm taking the freaking PGA Masters or what. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be like, I cannot justify in my mind to just go. I think that the friend should understand. Like this is a lifetime event, and we haven't spoken to each other in like 6 months. Understand that I'm just not coming. Sorry.
Okay.
Any additional on that?
No, I'm pretty set with that. That one's a good one.
Um, this is kind of tied to something that we answered a little bit earlier. Do you think electronics is ruining our youth?
So I'm gonna have a yes and no to this. I think in some ways it is, but here's the problem that I'm gonna say that a lot of I guess us being the age that we are and older, I think we're having a bit of a issue with change. And I think a lot of the jobs, a lot of the things that we're doing now are all kind of dealing with electronics and how savvy you are with electronics and how good you are with certain things. And if your kid can understand it at an early age, working an IT job because IT's constantly changing as well, or different computer jobs are changing as well. There's a good chance, like even video games are way, I mean, if you saw video games back when we were kids compared to now, I mean,
Yep.
you're talking like
In
full
sports?
details. It looks like you're almost in an entirely real world. Like it's GTA 6 is coming out this year. It's supposed to look like it's realistic, like it's supposed to be like the newest technology ever. But that's where I think I'm more keen on it because obviously like my job, I do a lot of outdoor stuff, but I also do a lot of I worked as a Twitch streamer for almost 3 or 4 years. I made $5,500 on my best month. And don't get me wrong, when I was doing really bad, I didn't make that much. I think I averaged about $1,000 a month, just extra cash that I made just for streaming, which is really good. You know what I mean? Like I did really well for a long time. So and that, it's kind of funny because like, my parents never thought video games would ever pay for anything or like pay. But when I made $5,500 and I had receipts of it, I was like, this is how much I made this month. It's like an amazing thing that you can do. So it's like I I don't necessarily am against it because, like I said, we're doing a podcast. We're doing a podcast now. Podcasts weren't even a thing. What 10 years ago? You know what I mean? Like they weren't really a thing. They were like a small thing, but they didn't. They when Joe Rogan hit the scene and all these other big names started hitting the scene. It became a more thing that I want to hear more people's opinions. I like certain people's personalities that are way more fun to listen to. I think that's just the way it is, and that's okay. I just think that I think embracing it as opposed to just trying to keep it out of your kids like youth altogether. I just don't think we live in that era anymore. I think back in the day maybe, but like my good video game playing got me to positions I never thought I'd get in. Like I destroy people on Call of Duty. I mean, I think I've played with you before. I think you knew I was pretty good. You know what I mean? But that's what got me popular. You know what I mean? It got me popular that I played well. So it's like it's hard for me to sit there and say I'm 100% against it. But I will say that I think we should embrace it at the same time, just monitor it, and it should always be monitored. Like for instance, my
Yeah.
kids are allowed to play video games, but I don't let them get on social media. So like they're not allowed to be on social media at all. Like at all. Like I don't let them have a Facebook, TikTok, none of that. I don't there's certain things I like you're not allowed to play. Like they're not allowed to play Roblox. They're not allowed to play anything that like might get them in something that can put them in danger. You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing anything like that just because I don't want them to get judged. They're not allowed to stream. You know, they're not allowed to do any of that stuff because they're getting into the public, and I gotta monitor that. That's why even on my Instagram, I don't have very many pictures of them just because like it's not for like I don't want my people seeing the kids just because you get a lot of weirdos out there. There's a lot of weird people out there.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I don't think we should run away from it. I think we should definitely more embrace it as a form of like that's the future. We're in an AI future. People use AI almost on a daily basis now. Like it's become such a huge crutch in terms and not a bad crutch, just like a hey, like sometimes like for me, my mind is all over the place. Like I think I like my mind is constantly racing. So when I'm trying to gather all my thoughts, sometimes it's easier just saying them out loud and then having someone kind of like organize it for me because I am literally scatterbrained. You know what I mean? And that's how I can like sometimes that's easier for me to do that than try to like sit down and really focus and write something out. I can't do that. It's just I've never been able to do that my whole life. It's not going to start now. Like I'm already in my I'm going to be 40 next year. You know what I mean? Like it's that's not going to change in my 40s. You know what I mean? I'm not all of a sudden going to become better at like managing my thoughts. No, it's like I have a thing that can actually kind of like put things in perspective for me and like get my thoughts out there a little bit better. And I like that. I like to be able to do that. Now, when it comes to like, I don't know, like I don't know. I think that's just the way we're going, and we can't really fight that. You know what I mean? Now, do I think it's going to replace like artwork or like a Picasso or something like that? I think that they can always replicate it, but I don't think you're going to get the same, same thing from it. I've seen some really cool stuff, but it's like not going to get the same type of stuff from doing that. I don't think it's going to replace like artists or anything like that. I think they could try. I think it's going to get replaced like small Fiverr artists that kind of create little emojis and things like that. It might get
Yeah.
replaced a little bit, but do I think it's going to completely, sometimes you want the more human perspective on everything else. So it's like kind of like you said with baseball, like the human perspective for baseball, and I think that that's sometimes it can ruin the game, but sometimes it's like, the refs are like terrible and you need to use it. Like I watch it almost now that I've watched it once, every week I see plays on baseball where the refs are just so far off. It's not even like I don't even know how that even happens. Like and they're like getting mad because they're getting challenged every single time. It's like, dude, you're terrible. You're a terrible referee. Like terrible. Worst referee I've ever seen. So these guys are terrible. So like, I don't know. I've embraced it over the years. I think it's good to do both. I think it's good to be outdoors. Like we go on vacation, we go to the beach, we go out
Yeah.
in the woods, we go to the park, but we also let them play video games too as well. We let them use electronics to kind of get things done. We incorporate it into their homework, so it's like they're not cheating with it; they're just using it as a tool. It's a tool. I look at AI, I look at everything else as a tool, and I think if you're not using it and you're not at least adapting with it, you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. There's no way you can live in this world now where people are going to have an edge over you because they're going to start using it and you're not. You know,
No, I agree. I agree. I don't. I completely agree. I do not think electronics is ruining our youth. I think that the parenting level, that everything is moderation, right? And if you think of perspective, times have changed. When we were growing up as kids, it was a single income home for most
yeah,
homes. One parent would go out and work, the other one would stay home, take care of the kids. There was a lot more active parenting going on and a lot more controlling. Hey, you guys have been on electronics too much. Go outside. Um, Nowadays, a lot, because of the economy and the way it's going, a lot of households have to be dual income. So there's a lot of, hey, I'm working, I'm trying to parent at the same time. Go jump on your electronics and keep yourself busy for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is, an hour. But at the end of the day, I think that comes down to active parenting and in moderation. Like you said, kind of saying no to electronics altogether is not wise, because that's where we're headed. We're headed into a world where we're going to utilize AI and electronics more and more as time goes on. So if you, like you said, you're going to get left behind if you're not kind of becoming acclimated to what the environment around you
yeah,
says you should be acclimated to. So, but I think it comes down to the parenting level, not so much the electronic usage. It's the moderation that the parents are placing on their children.
I agree. I completely agree, and I think that that's a good, like I said, that's a good way of looking at it, and I feel the same way about it.
Yeah. So then we'll move on from are we the asshole segment. We're gonna
That was a
move
good
into
segment.
the
I like that
inside.
one.
Yeah, that is fun. It's always nice to get different opinions on it and just kind of see where we're at. And maybe it differs for people that are listening. They might have a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
Would love to hear what those perspectives are because they're probably wrong. No, I'm just joking. No, but the next segment we'll do is inside the locker room, military and sports. It's very similar to the segment above. Um, do people in the military respect rank or just tolerate it? In your opinion,
I did both. I did both.
really?
Um, well, it kind of comes back into there were certain people who I thought were complete idiots, and and then some people that made rank, staff sergeant, and then like right away, and then automatically they thought they were bigger somehow, or less, they were more intimidating just because they made a rank and they were one rank above me. So checking them was probably, I mean, you kind of know how I was. I was not the nicest person all the time. You know what I mean? But I would not be okay with certain people that made rank because I knew who they were before they made rank. And, I didn't respect them then. And I definitely, the rank didn't, don't get me wrong. Like, uh, in the military, I always kind of felt like as long as you did what you were supposed to do, it didn't really matter what rank anybody had, because if they told you something wrong, I'm not going to follow that rule because you're in the wrong and you're not doing something right. And there's so many people I did respect, you know, Rudy Martinez, Gabriel Gonzalez, uh, Nito Alvarez, there's certain people that I had a lot of, like, I respected all them. You know what I mean?
Nito's gonna say he's been mentioned in every
Yeah, I
episode
know.
now.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to, like, Kiahi Yamaguchi, you know what I mean? Like, Yama too as well. There are certain people that I just had so much love for, that I really respected. But there were also people like, Sergeant, I don't care, Sergeant Jones, I didn't respect him at all. That, like, certain people I just was like, this guy literally is just, he can't make decisions for himself or can't differentiate certain things, and I just didn't respect certain people like that. So, like, I got away with doing a lot and saying a lot, but if I was in the right, then how can, doesn't matter how I presented it. I mean, sometimes it mattered, but it didn't matter how sometimes I presented it, because if I was in the right, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. If I was right, it did not matter what your rank was. So, I don't know. I had a hard time with that. That was something that, and then, like, people who got rank, made staff sergeant, then all of a sudden it got to their head almost immediately. I that's not how it works. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn respect. You can't just sit there and make rank and start trying to, like, think you could tell me what to do just because you think that I won't say anything to you when you're a rank above me. Like, this is not how it works. So
Yeah, no, I agree. If you're wrong and you're telling me to do something that's wrong, I'm sorry. I'm too opinionated a person to go along with something like that. I'm not going to do that. But like you said, respect is earned. At the end of the day, you have good leaders and you have bad leaders, and if you're a good leader, you're going to understand that respect is earned. You
yeah.
just can't come out there guns blazing and say respect my authority. At the end of the day, show me that you can lead. um, have a conversation with me, learn how to lead. There's different ways of leading different types of people.
Yeah.
So learn how to lead, how to communicate. Those are all going to factor in. Um, but outside of that, if you're a bad leader, and I've had plenty of them, my more recent people, I'll just tolerate you. And I just, do my own thing and just kind of be there. Just because you have a rank over me, or you're an officer, doesn't mean I respect you at all.
Yeah.
It just means I'm tolerating you until you show that I can respect you or I believe in your leadership style.
I agree.
That's how I feel about it. So I'm going to skip the next two because I know we covered those already above,
Yeah.
but I did want to cover this next one. So different types of teammates. We've both played on sports teams. Uh, what do teammates actually think about the specific guy? And I'll give you the type of guy, and you just tell
Okay.
me what your thoughts are and how people view these types of players. So, this type of player, the stat chaser, guy shows up every game, rec league, beer league, whatever. Just trying to score all the goals, doesn't get it, incorporate his team, doesn't pass, just tries to do it all himself.
That was me, so
What
I
do you
can't really say much. I'd be talking about myself at that point, so it's like it's hard to really. but I did I was more of a team player maybe because I got along with a lot of my teammates, but I did care about my stats. I did care about how many goals I made each week. That was something that was important to me. So, but generally, if it was somebody else, maybe as long as I I would care more if you cared about your stats and you sucked and you thought you were good. That's where I would be like, yeah, you're not a good player. So like, why are you worried about that? Like, worry about like not losing the ball. Like that would be more important to me.
Yeah,
So,
I
that was
think
a harder one to deal with. That was a hard one for me.
I think if we're winning and it's about winning, I'm okay. You chase the stats, but if you're making plays because you're chasing stats, but it's
Yeah, that's
hurting the
that's
team
different.
as a
That's
whole,
different. I wouldn't do that. I get what you're
like
saying.
I'm not cool with you coming out scoring 6 goals and I'm open for another 4, but you're chasing goals and we lost by two,
No,
one
I
goal.
would pass and stuff like that. There would be certain guys that I knew that I played with that wouldn't pass. That would drive me crazy. That they cared about
Yeah,
themselves. Yeah, that drove me crazy. So,
I mean, there are points where I'm like, wow, look at this try hard. We got another one of those guys just trying to score 50 goals, but he's not using his teammates, and we'll lose by one. And I'm just like
or
the
having a
entire time,
terrible
like,
player think that we'd have a terrible guy that thought he was really good and just try to score the goal himself instead of passing, which was like the dumbest thing they can do. It's like that would drive me crazy. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're not gonna make a goal from there. You
I don't know
can't even
what's
do it during
worse.
practice, like
Oh, yeah, I've had both situations. I don't know what's worse, but ultimately, as long as we're winning, I don't care about your ego. If you're chasing a million goals, fantastic. We better
win.
win.
Yeah.
If we lose by one and you're not dishing it off and you're trying to score and you're just not getting opportunities because they're triple teaming you, then I'll probably call you out.
Yeah.
um, so the next one would be uh, the skilled but too cool to try hard guy. Guy shows up for your beer league, and they like a face off. They drop a face off, and you're like, oh, just nonchalantly doing just putting around out there because you're too cool, you're too good, but maybe you're not that good. What do people think about that guy?
Man, I don't know. Guys like that always annoy me. There was guys that I knew that were skilled, but they didn't put enough effort. They didn't put like because some guys that we get when I was playing just like the standard leagues, just like the regular like city leagues, and those weren't that as serious as like travel teams. You get the guys that were playing on travel teams that would play on that and just didn't care if they won or not. They would just not try as hard, and that drove me crazy a little bit. I didn't like that. So for me, I'm not a big fan of those kind of people. If you're gonna play, just play to the best of your ability. It doesn't matter if it's on a team that you don't take seriously or not. Just if you're gonna do it, just play well. I don't know. That's just
Don't
me.
don't come out. My take on it is go play Pokemon somewhere. I don't care what you're doing. Just don't be here.
Yeah.
You're hurting the team as a whole. Yeah, you're too cool. That's great. You're fantastic. Get the hell out of here. I don't want you on my team. Too cool for the sport guy. That's for anybody who shows up to my team. I want to win. And if you're out there putting around, get off the ice. Get off the field. I don't care about your how cool or how good you used to be. I don't care. Get off the ice. You're hurting the team.
That's funny.
Oh God, those guys annoy the crap out of me. I see them all the time. I'm like, get off the ice. I'm about to slash you and take a penalty for hitting my own teammate.
Running into them. Like,
Yeah, start hitting them. Like, get off the ice. What about the guy, the worker, who is reliable and attends every game despite not being the most skilled guy?
I mean, we talked about this one earlier, kind of like as long as sometimes you need the because you can't always get a full team of just elite players. It's just sometimes you just don't
Sure.
get that. It is good to have somebody that can just rotate and just kind of take the spots as long as they understand that that's what they're there for. That they're not going to be playing a full amount. I'm not about being fair. I'm about playing who's the best. If we rotate you out and give you very little game time just to give, if yeah, if five people need to sit there and take a break, then guess what? You'll be in there for a long time because you'll be rotating to each position. But I'm not going to put you in there if like what I mean. Like if you're not if you're not going to be in there unless like we really need the help. And I just like I said, so that's just how I play. But I'm also very competitive, so I'm like I know a lot of people are more into fair, like oh everybody gets 30 minutes apiece, that type of thing. I'm like I don't know. You might get 30 minutes if enough people need a break, and that's just 10 minutes at a time type deal or 5 minutes at a time. But normally most people just need like a 5 minute break and they go back in. So I don't know. That's how I am with it.
I love I love myself workers. I need workers. I need guys that you're setting the standard effort wise. You're setting the standard in
Yeah.
games, in practice. You go out there and you start busting guys up in practice. I'm gonna use that to motivate the guys who are skilled and be like, this guy's showing you up right now. Go be better. It's gonna help develop my team as a whole because of that worker. And same in a game. If my skilled guys are just kind of out there putting around, not going to their potential, I'm throwing my workers out there because at least they're making it difficult defensively for teams to score or whatever they're trying to do. I'll take workers all day
Yeah.
long. Can you win every game? No. You need skilled guys, but I love me some workers because it really sets a level of effort for the rest of the team.
Okay, I can see that. I feel the same way. Like I said, I'm into that too. Like I said, like I said, you need people that can fill up the team anyways. So you're not always going to get the star athlete. So I get it. That's
Yeah.
funny.
So onto some real talk here. Um, back to the questions. More or less, how would you handle these type of situations? You got a supervisor, and we talked a little bit about it, like a leader. This guy's incompetent. How do you handle this? Do you just ignore it and just do your own thing? Do you approach them and tell them, how to improve? What's your take on that?
Oh, man, see, this is I have a saying: if you don't like how your management's being run, or if you don't like how management's being done, do it yourself. And I do take that philosophy kind of seriously. If I have an incompetent supervisor and you have a guy that doesn't ever want to promote but complains about the supervisor, that's on you. Because that means if you're not willing to promote and get in a position where he's not your supervisor anymore, that's on you. So I I don't I generally try to not be under that person anymore who's incompetent. I try to like work a way where I can figure out how to like never deal with this person because it's happened. I mean, we it happens in the military and it happens in real life too as well. Luckily, I haven't had too many terrible supervisors, except only in the military. And generally, just trying to just change your shift or trying to change, just fix something where you can just adjust how often you see that person, or if something opens up, take the management spot so that way you're not under that person anymore. That's the only thing I could sit there and say that I would do that, would fix that. I just, yeah, I generally don't try to push too much because you're going to have to work with that person. It's like, just say you don't get promoted and you have to continue working with that person. You're going to make yourself a lot harder knowing that that supervisor now knows how you feel about them and, might make it harder on your life. You know what I mean? Just, you know,
I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm a transparent individual. I'm very upfront and honest with you. I'm giving you active feedback continuously.
And in the
And at the end of the
military, I
day,
think that works really well. I just don't think in real life it's as applicable because, again, that
yeah,
person might be above you because they don't know always promote someone two things down. They'll promote someone that's right below and promote you in. So no matter what, you're pretty much playing catch up the entire time. You're trying to, get over this person. It's so much harder when you deal with someone who that you don't that they hate you. In the civilian world, I've learned to keep my mouth shut after I got out. I'll say little things here and there, and I'll be like, "This, this doesn't make sense." I'm like, "This is dumb," whatever. Like this is a really bad decision. Like, and I talk a certain way now because I had to learn a certain lingo now to address, civilian on the civilian side of things. You have to learn a whole different type of talking to people. It's really annoying, but it sometimes it can be very effective.
I haven't learned this lesson yet, and I'm sure I will very quickly, which probably won't be fun when it does happen. But I don't know. I like feedback. If I'm doing something that's not correct or I can improve in areas, I want to know about it.
Yeah.
So I attribute how I feel and correlate that with how everyone should. If you're in a leadership position, I would think that you would want to improve as a leader. It may not exist,
Most people
which
don't
is
like
terrible.
that. Most people don't
Yeah,
like that. So
but there's so many ways to lead, and I just feel like you're not going to know unless feedback is given. So I'll learn that lesson, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, I'm giving you feedback if I don't agree with it, and ultimately, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Then I might move on. I don't know. I can't run from it. I need to give I'm opinionated. I need to give my feedback to that
Fair
person.
enough. So am I, but
I'm gonna
I'm careful about how I do it now. You know what I mean? There's a way.
yeah.
Unfortunately, just when you're dealing with them, there's always a way of doing it without making it sound like you're criticizing too much, and that's how I've had to learn to do it throughout the years. So I get it though. It. I've learned to keep my mouth shut despite how talkative I am. I've learned to kind of like pick and choose my battles, if that makes sense, and know how to say it in a way where, like crab sandwich, you say something nice
Yeah, yeah,
and then say something nice at the end, like
yeah.
so it's
I can't wait till I learn this lesson. I'm gonna learn it really quick. I'm
oh
pretty
yeah,
sure
now
it's gonna.
now that you're a civilian, yeah.
All right. What about coaching? Is yelling, is that considered coaching or just bad leadership?
I think coaching and yelling, I I've I don't know, I feel like sometimes you're not hustling and sometimes people don't realize that you're not hustling, and I think yelling is a good way to like, hey, wake up. You need to get active again. You're slowing down. Hey guys, what do you guys, screaming at them. Sometimes yelling is the only way to make that happen. You just talking normal isn't gonna get them to do anything. It's just like, sometimes when you tell your kids, hey, go clean your room, go clean your room. Finally, when you say, get your butt in there and clean your room, and you yell, sometimes it has to get to the point where you're yelling at them. You know what I mean? That's just the way it has to happen. There's not much you can do about that. I feel like with
I think
coaching, it's the same thing. I don't have a problem with yelling. I think like Evelyn's coach was amazing, and he yelled all the time at the girls, like yelled at them all the time. And he was a great coach. They learned really well with him. So their team was like one of the best teams out there. So I mean, like that made sense to me. I never had an issue with it. Never once complained.
I personally think it's situational. I think that there are competitive moments where you as a coach, you as a team are competitive in a situation. So yelling, it gets the point across. It's all about tone and how you approach a situation and what that situation is. If you're in the locker room and you're just screaming at the kids and they just had a bad game, I think that's bad leadership. I think at the end of the day, they know they perform bad. It's youth hockey or youth sports is it's supposed to be fun, and you yelling at them after a bad game, it just doesn't make it fun. So, but if you're yelling to get their attention on the ice to draw attention to something that they need to change on the ice, that's fine. Or if you've said something numerous times in practice and
Yeah.
even during the game and you're reiterating yourself, then you can change your tone and say, hey, you're not getting it when I'm talking normal. I'm just going to start yelling now for this specific situation. So I think tone factors in, but it's scenario based. But I think if you're just piling on to a bad situation like a loss, that's just bad leadership there.
I can see that. I can see that.
um, does okay, so my son, he experienced this. Does suffering or losing a ton build a better team? If you're moving with a team, and let's just say hypothetically, the first few years of this team's development, they're like losing every game. Do you think that builds a better team?
Uh yes and no. Um if you're learning from your mistakes and you guys are trying to improve based on your losses, but a lot of times you see it in sports all the time, almost even instantaneously, like even if you're like up ahead at a certain point in certain games and then automatically the tables turn, you start losing, and then you just like almost nosedive because that that want to win automatically just goes away. I feel like you're failing everybody when you're sitting there doing that. So I mean, like, you know, I don't know. For me, I I I I feel like if you're losing a lot, um, it's gonna affect you in a negative way. I don't see that being a big improvement, because that means something's not fixing or no one's improving or no one's, I don't know. That's just my opinion on that.
No, no. So I agree in that sense. But we also talked about it earlier, where the mental toughness, the resiliency factor of it. For these kids, if you're winning all the time and you find yourself in a tough game and you're losing, are you going to sit down there and pout, or have you been conditioned to this point where you've lost and you can overcome that?
Yeah.
If you find yourself 2 goals down in the third period, are you mentally tough enough as a team to come back and fight back to take the win, or are you going to fold? Or if you've won a million games and you've never been in a tough situation, you've not been conditioned or exposed to a situation in which you've had to build that mental resiliency or toughness,
Yeah.
so you may fold because of it.
Yeah, I think it works both ways. I think I mean, like I said, I think it's not good losing a lot. At the same time, I do think you should lose to learn how to be a good loser. I think that's a good part of that. But if you're losing all the time, and I'm not just saying like losing the lead, I'm talking about just like actual losing games consistently over and like yeah, losing, you have to be able to get out of that mental state to try to like win again. But if you're losing all the time, it's hard to get like it's I think it's a lot harder to get out of that than it is during the game where there's still a chance. You know what I mean? You're going, 0-10. I don't know, man. The
It's not fun. The
no,
fun gets taken out of it. You don't want to lose every single game. Yeah, I get that. The confidence goes away, so I completely get that.
yeah.
Um, did you did you want to go into the hot takes or did you want to do the packs?
Ooh, let's do packs. Hold on one second. Oh, I was gonna say something. Okay, let's do packs. Sorry.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, and we're gonna try to do this pretty consistently, is Danny and I both purchased very similar card types. Adding it to a segment where we pull
Back at it.
our cards. Yeah, and we compare what we pull. Sometimes we'll pull nothing. Other times maybe one of us gets a hit, and then we'll see how we do.
Yeah, actually, let's see. See who gets the best. See who's the luckiest. I'm gonna have you pull two because you have 4 cards. I have 6. I think it'd only be fair if I was going against you if you had uh 8
So you
cards
want
at
me to do
least.
all 8?
Just do
Okay.
8. Yeah, just do 8 because it's 6 against 8. I mean, at least you have a better chance, and you have a lesser pack than I do. So, okay, so we
Okay.
got pull up yours. Let's we do the same time. So you got the better hits.
That's
Oh,
my
oh,
thing
right
here.
there, right there. Okay, we have
So
Clay Holmes, Chase Meteroth. I don't know how to say his last name. Oh my gosh, Michael McGreevy. Okay, you got
so I had Willie McIver, who I don't even know. Luis Angel Acuna, who's a nice little young player.
Moises Ballesteros. Moses Ballesteros. Dalton Rushing.
Oh, was this? Did you have the Baltimore catcher? Is that who you just pulled? Pasalo?
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah, he's
Ballesteros, Chicago Cubs catcher.
okay. Yeah, different guys then.
Dalton Rushing. Ooh, Dodgers. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let me try to.
Who's that? Oh,
Jack Dryer. So that's my little special card.
huh. Okay. Let's see.
Luke
I guess
Keschel is my other one. These are my 2, I guess, big pulls.
he's a younger guy.
Yeah, and that's it. So these 2 are my 2 hits, I guess, technically are Jack Dryer for the Dodgers, which I'm pretty happy about, obviously, and then Luke Kershaw or Keishel.
Nick Enright, terrible. Let's see here. Robert Hassel
Rookie
was supposed to
debut.
be good.
Okay.
James Wood is a good player, rookie card.
Yep.
Liam Hicks has been fantastic this year. He's one of the best catchers out there, rookie card. And then Ben Rice, rookie card.
Did you get
So
any
I didn't.
parallels at all? Did you get any? Ooh, you lost that one big time.
Oh God, I got some good rookie cards, but yeah, nothing in terms of parallels or anything like
Oh
that.
no. Okay, let's go. Let's go to our hot takes. Let's go to hot takes. What are we on hot takes now? Um, let's see. Hard work doesn't beat talent. Oh wait, are we doing captain's table?
uh, no, it's a lot of the same stuff.
Okay. Okay, let's end it with the hot takes of the week, and then so does hard work doesn't beat talent? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So this is very difficult because you have different motivation levels. So you get a lot of talented individuals out there who don't really necessarily need to put in the hard work to be even better. So they go out there and they can get by and succeed early on in their youth career just based on
Yeah,
natural talent. They're born with that. You see it all the time. But what I think is hard work does beat out talented players because hard work, you may not be the best player initially, but with hard work, you're building good habits. And then you can eventually become a great player through hard work. Now, if the great player ever figures out that a little bit of hard work can go a long way, and you can fully develop your natural ability, then yeah,
Yeah.
that talent will definitely beat out hard work. But a lot of these younger players that I see, they have all the talent in the world, but they don't know what hard work looks like. So they think forever they can get by on natural talent, and then they get to the higher levels and they notice, oh, all these hardworking guys have great habits, and now they're surpassing me, and they
Yeah.
don't have those habits built up, and now they're not conditioned for it. So I think hard work does beat out uh, talent over a period of time.
I agree. I think talent will only get you so far. And it's a good grounds for like, starting off. Like if you're naturally just good at baseball, and you really perfect it and get, push hard and do hard work with it, you could become the best player ever, and you see it with like Shohei Otani and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you see greats like that, exactly like that all the time. But I agree. I think hard work doesn't beat talent as well. So I'll agree with that. The next one would be Knicks should be a favorite to win the championship after their blowout victory.
Yeah, so this was coming from like ideas that had come up on Monday, and the Knicks had played the first game against the
Yeah,
76ers
the
in
Sixers.
the second
Yep.
round, and they beat them by like 40 something points.
Yeah.
And after seeing that, I was like, the Knicks at this point are very talented. They should maybe be considered a championship favorite, and they've gone since then to win the next two games after on the 76ers. So they lead the series 3-0. Again, I don't think the 76ers are all that good, even though they beat the Celtics, and that
Yeah.
hurts still to say that. But the Knicks, they're looking pretty good.
I've been seeing some good things about the Knicks too. I see. It's hard to say if I think she should be the favorite. I still think that the Spurs. I really want to see the Spurs win. I just really want to see Wemby win. But we'll see. I disagree with that. I'm hoping Spurs. I really want the Spurs to win. I don't really care about the other teams. Lakers look like they're going to be out this week anyway. So I can't really go for them. They're already 0-2 already. So I'm not even gonna. It's and the other team is 2-0 right now. So that's pretty much game there. Um, are the Yankees closer to a rebuild?
This,
Are the Yankees closer to a rebuild now team than a championship team?
honestly, I think they are. I think. I mean, they have some of the best players on their team. They have Aaron Judge, who's obviously fantastic. He's a one of one. Um, it's hard to say that you're almost in rebuild mode or should be in rebuild mode when you have a guy like that you want to maximize his talent all the time.
Yeah,
But you've got some aging individuals on this team
yeah.
that and they just don't
They've been
meet
around
the
for a long
expectations.
time too, and I do think they need to be a rebuild team. And I think with the Dodgers winning as much as they have been, I mean the Yankees were the standard for. It's, they won so much, dude. It was that that's another team that's kind of annoying that won so much. But I think at this point they can't just write off a Judge their entire time that they're that's yeah I guess their best player, but it's like they definitely need to rebuild their team and just kind of bring in some fresh
Just call
talent.
it.
Yeah, some good talent
Are
that comes
you
in.
I mean, are you as a Yankees organization able to compete with the Dodgers right now? More than
No,
likely, no.
I
They
don't think
didn't
so.
last year. I don't think so either, and I don't think any team is. So you can waste away Aaron Judge's talent on your team, or you can sell him off. I know Yankees fans won't want to hear that, but you can
No,
sell him off, get a
there's no
haul
way.
for him.
There's
I
no
mean, you can
way.
get a haul, and at the end of the day, you can start your rebuild and be competitive in 2 years when Otani starts getting his deferred payments, and the Dodgers can't afford the players that they have on the roster anymore.
Oh man, that's gonna be a sad day. No man.
It's going to happen. They have so much deferred money that it's going to catch up to them at some point. And I like what they've done, but I hate that there's no parity anymore. But the Yankees, at the end of the day, I think they're squandering the talent of Aaron Judge on a team that's probably never going to compete with the Dodgers currently.
I agree. Okay, and last one is Hurricane sold out their beer skating mug. Wow. 4,687 skates sold during game one. Is this a Cole novelty? Is that right? Cole
Cool.
novelty? Cool. Is this a cool
Yeah,
novelty
cool
item?
enough.
Or are there this many Hurricane fans out there? Honestly, dude, when it comes to just the way everything is going right now with just like you see it with AMC and stuff like that, how even like movie theaters are doing like these mugs and these popcorn buckets, things like that. That's becoming the new thing to do. And honestly, people like collecting stuff like that. And if there's only four, if you make it limited supply, it becomes a collectible item. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things that, and we talk about with cards all the time. They do cards with basketball games and cards with baseball games, and those become extremely collectible. Like people like those kind of things, man. It's just that's becoming the new thing to do. Like I think even Fandango's doing it as well. Like the Fandango, like they just make these random, really cool novelty items, and dude, that stuff sells. I mean, I even have a few. I have like a giant alien uh bucket. You know what I mean? They did a Star Wars edition too, where I got a Star Wars figure for a bobblehead. You know what I mean? Like those stuff are cool to collect, man. It's just one of those things that I think novelty items are a thing. And I I don't know. I don't think I bet you there's probably not even like I bet you not just Hurricane fans got that because it's rare. Like you'll get collectors that are going in that market that are going to want to collect it because it looks like it's a one of one item that it's never been done before. Now it might go mass produced now, but I mean the first ones to do it, if they're the first ones, then yeah, I think that that's going to be it's a really cool thing. I think it's probably more of a collector's piece than anything else, and people are probably just selling it on the aftermarket remarket, whatever you want to call that. So I mean, that's probably why so many were sold.
I feel like we're going through this age of like a reinvigorated collectors out there. A lot more people getting into cards, whether it's Pokemon or sports in general. I think there are a lot more collectors out there, and they're looking for the rarity of the item.
Yeah,
If you can get that one of one or something that's not mass produced, I think you're going to find that more people are out there trying to get these items.
yeah,
But I think the other thing that factors in is the Hurricanes have been they're a good team this
yeah,
year,
they
and so
are.
obviously the fan base is increased just because they're winning. Anytime you start winning, you're going to see that increase. So I'm sure a good number of those fans, especially on a winning season, they want a piece of memorabilia that they can have. If it's a skate shaped beer mug, sure, whatever. It's a novelty item, but it's fantastic. And you can say that this commemorates our awesome season where we were fantastic. But I think there's a good number of collectors out there right in this phase of the world that are out there just saying this is a unique item. This seems like something it'd be cool. I'm just going to hold on to it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that that's smart marketing, man. Whoever thought of that was really smart. I love stuff like that, though. I mean, that's why. I mean, I collect too, so that's exactly why I collect. So, I mean, even Disney does it. You get stuff like this. Little things like this that Loki's spear. Stuff like I love that aftermarket, like the aftermarket stuff. So, I mean, like I'm a big fan of that kind of thing. So I'm kind of glad that sports is kind of becoming more of a thing that they're doing it with like cards and stuff like that. I love it. So I mean, I like to see that kind of stuff nowadays, especially within the collector's world. So I mean, that's awesome. so, but
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
man.
agree.
But yeah, so I mean, this concludes our segment, man. I mean, do you have anything you want to add? Anything else you want to talk about? I know we had a weird start in the beginning. We just we OBS crashed on us, so we had a first take, and it kind of like it was going really well. And I like to just kind of explain a little bit of the background, so that way it sucked because we had to stop midway between and just like restart the whole thing over. But overall, this is a good segment. I like talking about the subjects we talked about. They're really really good. Um, and yeah, anything else you want to talk
I,
about?
yeah, I did want to give a update to the men's league. I said I would do that. So we tacked on another loss last week. So I think we're 0-4 now. We lost 6-3.
Ooh.
For those who are tracking my brother and I's little competition, he got a goal, I got an assist. So no movement in terms of
So you're
he's
losing.
still up by one. No, yeah, he's still up by one. But it's still painful. We haven't secured a win. So that's unfortunate. And my daughter, she went four for five in her last game, like three doubles. And she pitched two shutout innings. It was fantastic. So
Dude,
one of
that's
the best
awesome.
games.
That's
Yeah, it was
awesome. They
fantastic.
win?
So yeah, they won like 12-4.
Oh, all right, all right. Good
So
job.
that's the sports going on for me currently.
That's good. That's
Did you
good.
have anything else you wanted to cover?
I'm trying to think of anything else that I wanted to cover or not. I think I'm still waiting on PSA, so I will be doing that live. Not live, but when we I guess we both get our grades in whenever they show up. I'm gonna do mine first because I'm assuming because I'll get them first. I'll probably reveal what I get. I'm checking the order right now just to make sure because they might already be there. But I'll be revealing what I got, and it'll be my first time seeing it, so I might be upset. So when midway in between, or we might have to do it at the end of the podcast because I don't know how happy I'm gonna be because I've been hearing a lot of craziness about how that's been going on the grading world, but it is still fun. I still like doing it. And yeah, it's currently processing, so they're still in the middle processing, keeping track of that. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, the car world, they just released the football Topps Chrome just recently, and they just dropped, I think, basketball as well. So that's a good one to get. You know, a lot of good hits on that one as well. I just pulled a 400 card today, $400 card today. I had that basketball one that I showed you that I grabbed the Bowman Topps Chrome. I believe I got like a $400 card out of that. So
Nice.
it's out of 25. It's like one of the lower numbers I've seen out of like a mega box. So I was pretty happy about that. I had to pull that one. I was like, if you're not getting that, I'm gonna grab one just because I don't ever see Bowman out there. Bowman's always a good one to get. I love getting Bowman. So but yeah, I mean that was probably my big pull. I forget who the player was. I think he's a rookie though, but it was a good pull, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I was like, yeah.
Well,
um,
I'm not too excited about these packs that I got just because
well,
they're
you're pulling
not.
two. Your chance of winning, one of these weeks is going to be good because it's two out of you got two out of you know two chances. 8 cards extra than me,
Well,
so or
I
two
I
cards
did
extra
pick
than
up a
me.
couple extra boxes, so I got the Mega Select baseball box, which it's new, so we'll
Oh
see how
yeah, I
that
haven't
goes.
seen that yet. Okay, yeah, I'll have to. I'm gonna try to find those this week so we can pull those maybe because we might have to switch out that one and that way gives you a chance to get some
And then
good.
I got this one autograph per box. It's like a prospect box.
Oh, I've not seen that. I've never seen that before. That's actually really cool.
It says it's
Is that
got
Panini? That's Panini, isn't it?
it's Panini, yeah. So it says it's got colorful prospect ticket and ultra rare kaboom insert.
Ooh, that's
Should I
cool.
open this right now?
I kind
You
of
think?
want you to honestly. I don't want to see what you got.
Might as well, right?
Kaboom, yeah, dude. I didn't know that. I didn't even know. I've never seen those before. I've,
I've
but
never seen them either.
you get over there where he lives. He gets a huge selection of cards. When I was over there, I'm like, I don't even like the cards by me just get bought out within a day. If you don't buy cards within a day, you're pretty much like SOL. You're not gonna get anything. So I'm kind of curious what he gets. Just open one pack. Just open one pack. Just see what it's like.
Yeah.
I just want to see what it is. And then we get end our thing tonight. We did a good. We get a good 2 hours and 15 minutes in. So, ooh, I like the way these
So
look a lot. Oh man, those look really clean.
so that's a Riley Quick. I think these are all prospects, so I don't know who that is.
Okay, Marcus Phillips. Ooh, numbered. Okay, out of 99.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
Yeah, it looked like a
39
regular
out of
card. Oh
90.
my gosh, that would have fooled me. I wouldn't. I'm only seeing it now because I just it looked like a normal card. That's funny. Gotta be careful with these up them. Oh, cool. Okay,
Oh wow.
those look really clean. Beautiful cards. Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
so
actually really shocked the quality.
this is a pretty
This,
darn heavy
yeah.
card here. The other ones are pretty light. So this one came. So Darren Baker, don't know who he is. Rookie card, not numbered, but looks pretty interesting. And then, like I said, there's only 4 cards to the pack, and then the numbered, obviously.
199 is not bad. I mean, that's not terrible. That's a depending on who he is and how good he plays, that could be like a $20 to $50 card, depending on how good he is. So that's good. That's interesting. I like that, man. That's we'll have to have you open up some more maybe, or maybe, or you can open it one more if you want. It's up to you.
You want
Yeah,
me
one
to
more.
do
Let's
another
do
one?
one more. Let's do one more because I want to see what you got. Let's see if you get something good.
All right. I wonder if there's more than one numbered
Numbered,
card.
dude. You better hope. I love getting more than one number card, so it's kind of cool to see that there's at least something there. These are pretty cool. Yeah, I love these, dude. These are cool.
Yeah,
Justin Lampkin, Billy Carlson. Okay.
that's a pretty cool card, Billy
Yeah.
Carlson.
Make sure you check front and back on those. Okay, so that's an all red one. Okay, cool. That one may sometimes the numbers are on the back too. So that's red, and then you got a Jamie Arnold. Okay, cool.
So that
That
he's a good player.
I was gonna say I recognize that name.
Yeah, so Arnold is a good player.
I think did I get it? Don't I have a signed autograph of him? I think he's Oakland A's, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I have a signed autograph of him. I'm
so that's
pretty
a good
sure.
card.
Yeah, that's really great. That's awesome, dude. I love that, man.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
there's some unique stuff in there. That's pretty cool.
I'm
So
gonna
yeah,
have to
we'll
look for
we'll do
that.
some more next time.
Heck yeah, man. Well, dude, it was a good segment, and if anybody has any questions or any questions you guys want to ask, please put it in the comments when we post the videos. listening to us on Spotify, we should be creating here some other stuff too as well, and we'll hopefully get some clips going. But if you guys have any questions for us, anything sport related, military related, or even life related, we've kind of done a lot in our span of 40 years, and we both have different experiences. So if you guys have any questions at all, please, please, please ask us, and we will try to read the comments, things like that, and answer them on our next episode. So, anyways, you guys have a great day. We will see you guys next week. Anything you want to add, Upham?
Yeah.
All
So,
right,
see you
perfect.
next.
See you next week.